car, for the cost of a reception hall, and for the cost of a wedding dress.
Ms. Hinkle, you and the defendant were engaged. He broke off the engagement according to your complaint. You want him to pay for some expenses that were incurred by you or your mother, down payment on a hall, dress, etc. And you want the paperwork on your engagement ring.
Yes.
What are you doing with the engagement ring?
I was going to try to sell it.
Why?
So that I could pay off the rest of the wedding, but I can't get the paperwork because the defendant won't give it to me.
Why should he give it to you? You're supposed to give the engagement ring back to him.
Yeah, well, he proposed to me and broke it off.
So what?
So I thought it was a gift.
No. An engagement ring is a ring given in contemplation of you two getting married. And if he broke it off, there must have been a reason that he had doubts. Even if he had no reason to have doubts, it was good that he decided to call it off before he married you, if he wasn't going to be a good husband. The ring goes back to him. There's no issue with regard to that. I mean, once you're married, and if you're divorced, well, then the contract has been fulfilled. You were married, the engagement ring stays with you. But before the wedding, it goes back to him. Where is it? Can I see it, please? It's lovely. Give it to him. You still paying it off?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. How much was it?
The total was $27.95, I think, was the total on it.
And if you go to sell it, how much do you think you're going to get for it?
I'm not sure. I haven't looked into it.
Maybe
Never
half.
tried, yeah. Possibly.
Maybe. You never get.
Possibly half, yeah.
Unless you're dealing with the Hope Diamond.
Right.
You know, you're not. They usually don't appreciate in value.
Right.
Everybody makes a profit. You go to sell it. Maybe you're lucky if you get half. So you're going to be out probably $1,400.
Right.
That's you on the negative side. And how much did you spend on the wedding so far?
$1146.92.
So you don't want to have to pay him any money, do you?
No.
Good. So we're going to call it even, and you're all going to go home, and you're going to say, lucky, we called it off when we should have. He lost $1,400 on the ring. You lost $1,100 on the wedding expenses. Goodbye and good luck. Thank you.
99 on the calendar in the matter of Jones versus Escada. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
I'm really a little confused with this case, but we're going to make sense of it. Miss Jones, you're suing her because you say she filed false charges against you of hit and run.
Yes.
The hit and run was not against her person, but against a car that she was driving in.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
There was an incident involving the defendant.
Yes, there was.
First, tell me when the incident happened.
The exact day, it was on or about May 1st.
Tell me about it.
I was moving back into my home, and
you were moving back into your home from where?
From a corporate leasing unit.
Okay.
I rented a 26-foot U-Haul truck. I asked the guy to help me move, and he knew the defendant's boyfriend.
Did you know this person?
Not personally, no.
How did you find this person?
Just through verbal acquaintance, just seeing him around town. He's a handyman.
What's his name?
Michael Alexander.
So you asked Michael if he would help you move?
Yes. He then got the two other guys and said, you know, they were good workers and they will also help because I had a lot of furniture.
Okay, so there were going to be 3 men.
3 men.
And you rented the U-Haul?
And I rented the U-Haul.
Where did you pick them up?
I picked them up on 3rd Street East in Lancaster, California at Michael's home.
What happened the second day?
The following day, we had agreed the previous night to meet back at Michael's house early in the morning. I did so. I arrived.
So you, again, went back to Michael's house to pick up the 3 guys?
To pick up the 3 guys. As the one of the guys was walking out, he was arguing with someone in the house. I asked him, was he okay? Did he need to stay back? He said, no, let's go. So all 4 of us got into the truck. I drove off. Went back to the house, unloaded the truck. Later on that day, I was going down Avenue K, headed westbound. He spotted his girlfriend.
Were the 3 men still in the truck?
The 3 men are in the truck. I'm driving down Avenue K, which is a main street. I'm heading westbound. He spotted his girlfriend, which apparently is a defendant.
Had you ever seen her before?
No.
Never laid eyes on her before that day? Go ahead.
And he makes a comment to another guy. He said, oh, there she goes. She's about to turn around. I quickly glanced in my rearview mirror. I didn't really see anything. A few seconds later, she was behind me on my left-hand side, honking her horn and motioning me to pull over.
What kind of car was she in?
A little blue Toyota Tercel, something compact and small.
Now, how is she telling you to pull over?
Honking her horn and motioning like this. And so then I asked the guy, I said, do you want me to pull over? He said, no, she just wants to argue, just keep going. So I did. A few seconds later, she's now on the right side of the truck.
That way she's on the passenger side
So
of
on
the
the
truck.
passenger side of the truck. Okay, she just got over. She's doing the same thing. And I asked him again, I said, are you sure? He said, no, keep on, she'll eventually pass. And I said, okay, fine. So I keep driving. She was yelling and screaming.
What was she yelling?
You know, she was yelling profanities at him.
At him, not at you.
Not at me, okay? Not at first. When she got closer to the window, though, to where, because it was a long truck, when she got closer to the window, she did call me a B. But prior to that, she was, you know, on the side of the truck yelling and screaming at him, and they flipped it. I don't know, she flipped him off, and then he flipped her back off. So then they had a flipping off match, okay? And so I kept driving, and that was that. I moved all that day, you know, nothing. And the following day, I got a call from the Palmdale Sheriff's Department, said that they wanted to come look at the vehicle because it had been involved in a hit and run.
First
And
of
they
all,
came?
who was that guy who knew me?
Speak not until I speak to you. So it is your testimony
Yes.
that at no time did you ever hit her or hit her car.
Whatsoever.
Now, were you ever arrested?
No.
What happened?
The officer came to my house. He took a photograph of me. He told me to wait there at my house, that he was going to take the picture to her. If she verified that it was me, that he was going to come back and arrest me, for me not to go anywhere, to stay home that day. And I did. I was moving anyway. He never came back that day. I didn't hear anything, so I figured, okay, it's all taken care of. About a month later, I get a notice in the mail from the DMV stating that someone has inquired as to my driving record. Then I get a letter from the Sheriff's Department stating that I need to appear in court on charges of a hit and run and property damage. And
Do you have a copy of that letter?
I don't have a copy of the letter, but I was summoned to court.
You have a copy of the summons?
No, this is the court dates, and the days I appeared in court.
Am I correct, Miss Jones, that the trial in this case commenced? Jury was selected.
Yes.
The first witness was called by the people.
Yes.
That was this lady right here.
Yes.
The second witness that was called was her mother. I assume that's you.
Mother-in-law.
You're not her mother, are you?
No.
Then be quiet. Then the matter was adjourned.
Yes.
And when everybody came back, the district attorney moved to dismiss the case.
Yes.
The district attorney moved before you even had an opportunity to put on your case. At the
Yes.
end of their case, the district attorney said, we move to dismiss in the furtherance of justice. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, this report says that they found on your U-Haul a smudge of blue paint that was consistent with the blue paint on the car, her car.
Yes.
Can you explain that to me?
Yes, I can. When she got on the right-hand side of the truck and she was driving and cussing and carrying on, she skinned the side of the truck. At 35 miles an hour, she claimed that I hit her, that she skid and collided with me at 35
No,
miles an hour.
I read what she said.
Okay, these are the
I read
photos.
I read the exact statement she gave to the police, which contained no information about her boyfriend being in the car, anything like that.
Yeah.
As far as her statement to the police was concerned, you were total strangers and you totaled her car, and so may I see the photographs that you have?
In the photographs, you will see her car. The hood of it is dented and the grill is missing, but she admitted in court that that was damage that was done previously. That was not damage caused by the U-Haul. At 35 miles an hour, she wouldn't have had a front.
Okay. Now I'd like to hear you.
On May 1st, I was coming from East Side. All of a sudden, I see this U-Haul truck approaching me on the opposite side. She turned to the left. I just put the steering wheel a little bit to the right. That's why she hit the car. I have my pictures right here. On the side, you can see that's when she hit it.
What's your boyfriend's name, or what was his name?
Gino?
Gino. Was Gino in the U-Haul?
No.
Really? She says there was a person driving in the car who you knew. Is that true?
No. I don't know what.
Really?
I don't know
Ms. Jones.
what she's talking about.
Yes.
I don't know who's this guy. No.
You know who that person is?
No, even when I went to trial, they asked me. I didn't know him.
What about Michael?
Yes, I know. That's the guy I knew.
You have Michael's telephone number?
Yes, I do.
I'll take it.
One.
Now, why do you believe that the district attorney moved to dismiss the case after you and your mother testified?
I don't know.
You have no idea. All right. What's your name, by the way?
Gino?
Gino. You weren't in the U-Haul at that day, were you?
Nope. And I've been with her for 19 months.
Okay. Well, let me go see if I can get in touch with Michael.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I want to see this person and to identify me, and I'll do the same thing to him. I am not going to let these people lie. No.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Monica Jones says Martha Escada falsely accused her of hit and run. She claims Martha was trying to pull a scam.
Well, Michael isn't there, but maybe I can get some information from the district attorney. By the way, do you have any photographs of your cars?
Yes, and I have another question. Who's this guy that she's telling you that that guy knew me? I want to see this guy, and I want to see if he's telling the truth. I don't know this guy. I don't know what she's talking about. I mean, bring the guy, tell me to my face that he knew me, and I'll tell to his face that I knew him too.
The question is not whether this guy knew you, madam. The question is whether you pulled up on the side of her truck. There was somebody in the car that you wanted to talk to. She wouldn't pull over, and then you claimed that she hit your vehicle and took off. She says that the U-Haul, it did in fact come in contact with your car, but it was because you were driving like a nut. So
Nope.
I want to see what the district attorney
That
has to
is
say.
not
If
true.
I can find the district attorney's name here, Richard Quinones. Let's see if we can locate him. And you have the paperwork while we're getting, see if we can get the
I have the
number.
police
You have the
report right
paperwork?
here, and I have pictures of my car.
Okay, let me see.
Also wanted to show the character when the police went to serve her. She said they didn't live there, and they do.
You didn't live where?
Initially when they went to serve her, and she said, "Oh, no one's here by that name. No one
Okay,
lives
about
here."
that.
And then the 10 days, my loss in pay, I brought my pay stub.
Just a second.
Okay.
I have to first find out whether these are false charges.
Okay.
That's what I have to find out.
Okay.
Do you understand?
All right. Yes, I do.
I mean, I wish I could get in touch with old Michael. That would make things easy. But since I can't, and you don't know the names of any of the other people.
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, why don't you have a seat?
Is it okay if I...
Yes, is Mr. Quinones there, please?
Yo estaba discutiendo con ellos y yo me puse a un lado de ella.
Very good. Thank you very much, sir. I haven't been able to reach either the district attorney at this hour, nor Mr. Alexander, but I'm going to try.
Okay.
So I want you to just hang around, and I'll see you back here as soon as we are able to get either one of these two people who should
Okay,
be
I
able
just
to
gave
give.
my cell phone number.
You have a cell phone number for whom?
Michael Alexander.
Oh, that's perfect. Maybe we can do that. Yes.
When they went to serve me to that address, I moved since December. So I don't live in that address anymore. I live in Lake LA.
It's not important. Why is that important?
Because she said that when they went looking for me at that address, somebody told the police officer that...
And I
there's no
told her
one-
that wasn't important.
Okay.
The only thing that's important to me is whether or not you knew or appeared to have known someone who was driving in the truck with her on that date. And I would be also curious to find out why the district attorney moved on their own motion to dismiss this case after you and your mother testified. So we'll see you back here. Okay. Thank you. Well, I managed to speak to the assistant district attorney who handled the case. And after speaking to the assistant district attorney, he did in fact confirm to me that after the two of you testified, he decided to go out and have a personal look at the car that you say was damaged by the plaintiff. And after he made this personal inspection of the car, he believed that the damages to the car were inconsistent with the testimony that the two of you gave in court. before she even had to put on her case. So he doubted your word, especially yours. That's number one. Number two, we were in fact successful in securing Michael Alexander's presence here for the recall. So, Bert, I believe Mr. Alexander is outside. Would you bring him in, please?
Sure thing, Judge. Michael Alexander?
Would you swear the witness, please?
Sure thing. Sir, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth in the matters before you?
Yes, sir.
State your name for the record.
Michael Alexander.
Mr. Alexander, prior to coming into court just now, did you speak to Miss Jones?
Yes.
Did she tell you the questions that she thought I would be asking you?
No.
Okay. You helped her move sometime in, when was it, May?
Yes.
And you had a couple of other people that you had gotten to help
Yes,
her?
ma'am.
Who were those other people?
Keith and Jose.
Do you know their last names?
No. I met them at labor.
There came a time that Miss Jones came to your house to pick you up.
Yes.
And these two other men were with you in the truck and you moved one day.
Yes.
Do you remember the second day of your move?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember an incident involving this young lady right here?
Yes.
Look at me and tell me what you remember.
Well, I remember that we was traveling down Avenue K after we dropped off her furniture at her house and was headed back to the storage. And Jose said, that's my girlfriend. And I seen her throw a U-turn.
Jose, put your hand down. Jose said, that's my girlfriend.
Yes.
Where was she when he said, that's my girlfriend?
She was headed east coming down Avenue K.
And what happened next?
She threw a U-turn and she came up on the U-Haul and she was driving all erratic and fast. She was flashing her lights and blowing her horns and doing hand signals up out the window. And
Did Jose say anything to her?
he said, well, she asked him, do you want me to pull over? And he said, no, don't stop. She just wanted to argue. And so we kept going.
Did you see Jose after the move? Have you seen him since?
No.
Have not?
No, ma'am.
Is there any question in your mind that this was the young lady in the car?
No.
Look at me. What color car was she driving?
Blue.
You sure about that?
Yes.
Okay. If you have any questions for Mr. Alexander, you can ask me and I will ask him.
Okay. Who is this guy, Jose? I don't know nobody by that name, Jose. And I'm not going to let these people get away with it because they're lying. No. I want to see this person and to identify me, and I'll do the same thing to him. I am not going to let these people lie. No.
Miss Jones, I've been involved in the criminal justice system for a very long time. And I'll tell you right now, very rarely does a district attorney who takes a case to trial, impanels a jury of 12 people, wastes court time, expends time in preparing a case. Very rarely does a district attorney stand up at the end of their case and say, we don't believe our witnesses to the extent that we're moving to dismiss this case because we don't even want it to go any further. I mean, maybe on one hand I can remember that amount of time. This district attorney didn't believe you, didn't believe your mother about what happened. And I don't know who Jose is, but I certainly see the pictures of your car, and I've listened to her testify. I believe her. That's all I have to believe. I believe that you were having some sort of an argument with a guy who was in that U-Haul it, and you were behaving erratically. She wouldn't pull over. You got ticked off. You called, and I believe that there was contact with the U-Haul. There's no question in my mind that there was contact with the U-Haul. It was your fault. And maybe you thought you could make a couple of bucks. No. That's what I think. That's what I think. And the fact that you called the police. Have you ever been incarcerated before, Miss Jones?
No.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm an accountant.
I think that not only did you cause her trouble, because I looked at how many times she had to appear in court based upon your phone call to the police that was fraudulent. She had to appear in court. She had to be embarrassed. There's a certain embarrassment about it. When it was your fault and you lied, and she's entitled to what she's asking for, which is $5,000, and I'm entering a judgment for that. $5,000 for the plaintiff. That's all. Step back.
Now, this is case number 184 on the calendar in the matter of Brooks versus Stout.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Brooks, these are your two sons, and you're here only because they're minors.
Yes, ma'am.
You weren't present during this incident, is that right?
No.
Why don't you have a seat? And this is your son,
Yes,
and you're here because he's a minor.
correct.
And you weren't there during the course of this incident,
Correct.
even though if I find in the plaintiff's favor, you're going to have to pay the judgment. But you weren't there. So why don't you have a seat?
Thank you.
Now I have before me the idiots. So you're in one car and you're in another car.
No, I stand on the side of the road.
Tell me what happened, Justin.
We was driving around the square.
Listen to me. How old are you?
16.
Do you go to school?
Yes, I do.
You were driving around.
We were driving around the loop, and we was at a stop sign, and a truck.
You were at a stop sign.
Yes. And a truck was in front of me, and a truck was behind me, and they blocked me, and I couldn't move. And like 6 or 7 girls came up kicking out my car, and and I couldn't move or anything. And then all of a sudden, I see Tyson running up to my car, and
How many people were in your car?
it was me, Dustin, and my ex-girlfriend.
Now, did you know these people in the trucks that were blocking you?
No, I don't.
Where had you been that evening?
I was at my girlfriend's house because that was her birthday.
So did she have a party?
No, it was just
You were
we.
just.
Yes. I guess.
Go ahead.
Well, it wasn't actually a party. It was just hanging out at her house, and we decided to go cruising, so we went up cruising.
What's cruising?
Well, cruising the loop, like driving around listening to
Cruising
music.
the what?
Loop.
Cruising the loop.
Yeah.
What is your version of having fun?
Listening to music and talking to people on the square. That's when that accident happened.
What accident?
That when we got pretty much jumped.
So far, what you've told me is a bunch of girls came up to your car and started to kick the car.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Let's pick it up from there.
Well, he kicked out the window.
But I thought the girls were kicking the car.
Well, they were, and then he ran up to the car, kicked the window out, and then
Which window?
it was the passenger right window.
Pretty high kick.
Yeah.
You kicked the window out.
Yeah.
Go ahead, and then what happened?
And then Dustin was getting out of the car to run, and then Tyson cut his arm.
How did Tyson cut his arm?
I didn't see it because I was.
You didn't see it.
I was driving, so.
You didn't see it. Is that right?
I drive.
So then we go to Dustin.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you twins?
Yes, ma'am.
You always dress alike?
No, ma'am.
Did you do that especially for me today?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you thought it would
Yes, ma'am.
confuse me?
No, ma'am.
You're Dustin.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what happened to you.
When I was getting out.
What were you getting out for?
To run, because there was so many kids around. I ain't sticking around.
Just a minute. How many kids were around?
Probably 15.
What were they doing around your car?
Actually, I don't know. They don't like me.
Dustin, something tells me something happened before that, Dustin.
Actually, there was nothing happened. They don't like us because in the past there was the girls.
Who's we?
Me and Justin. The girls that they was going out with their boyfriends and everything. They didn't like us, and
I want you to, at all times when you're testifying, I want you to look in my eyes.
Yes, ma'am.
So the girls didn't like you because they were going out with their boyfriends and blah, 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 blah. I didn't get anything after that. That made sense.
Because we get in fights with them because they don't like us, okay? So
you get in fights with the girls or the boys?
The boys. And so the women hates us for that.
So the girls hate you?
Yes.
Why do you get in fights with the boys, Dustin?
Because I don't know how to read and they pick on me and I ain't taking nobody's crap. It's that. And that's the reason.
And so, because of that, you think that these people don't like you. You don't say anything to them.
No. I do
never start up with you never start up with them.
No.
Does your brother know how to read?
No.
Is there any reason?
Yeah, I don't know. I think.
What do you mean you don't know? Do you go for special tutoring?
Yes.
For how long?
For how long? Since we was in kindergarten.
Do you go to school every day?
Yes, ma'am.
Every day?
Not every day, no.
Dustin, don't throw the bull at me. Because if you can drive a car, I assume you have a license, you had to take a test. You had to take, as part of the test, a written test.
We didn't take a written test, ma'am.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
How come?
Because we don't know how to read.
So they allowed you to drive a car without knowing how to read. Stop, go, hazard ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
What state is that?
It's Iowa.
I'm staying out of there. How often do you go to school? Once a week, maybe?
No, ma'am.
The reason why we go probably once a week is because we don't get taught nothing, because they didn't teach us timetables or multiplication tables or anything like that.
So now you stay home and cruise.
No, I don't cruise anymore.
So tell me what happened, Dustin, after you were going to get out of the car and run.
Well, I put my left arm up on...
Watch, right here.
I put my left arm up on the door, and I was looking down to push myself up out of the car, and Tyson come up and cut my arm, and I look at him, I see the knife in his hand, and he took off running with everybody else took off running, and Justin tells me to get back in the car, sit down. By then the truck was in front of us, was gone. We took off, went to the hospital.
You went to the hospital?
I got 5 stitches, and there's pictures and stuff like that my mom has.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
One of my friends told me because he was going out with one of the girls at the time that they liked. They threatened to kill his baby before.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 16-year-olds Justin and Dustin Brooks claim 17-year-old Tyson Stout attacked them with a knife. Tyson says the twins threatened to kill his friend's baby.
Now, were you charged with assault?
No, ma'am.
What were you charged with?
Burglary in the 2nd degree.
Burglary?
Forcing entry into an occupied structure.
Tyson, I want you to tell me, and I want you to be very careful, Tyson, because, you know, I already got their story. I want you to tell me your version. By the way, you go to school in Iowa?
I don't go to school. I got my GED. I'm starting college in February.
Does anybody ever finish high school in your jurisdiction?
No.
No. All right. Tell me what you were doing standing on the side of the road, and what was going on at the side of the road where these guys were cruising?
Me and some friends were just staying around.
Listen, you're starting college next year?
Yeah. Some friends and I.
Yeah.
They're standing around talking, having fun, and then these two, they just keep on driving around mouthing and...
Mouthing what?
Just calling us names and...
Like what?
Old, stuff like that, the F word.
And how many times did they drive around?
Probably 2 or 3.
Any of that sound familiar to you? Justin and Dustin?
No, because...
Go ahead.
And about the 3rd time they pulled around, we had a car, not a truck, stop them. And one of my friends told me, sticking up for one of my friends, one of them told me that they've threatened to kill his baby before because he was going out with one of the girls at the time that they liked, and she had a baby. And he told me that.
How old was this genius?
18.
Go ahead.
I was going to go up and say something to him. He rolled up the window real quick, got mad, kicked the car door.
You went up to the car because you were really mad because a friend of yours told you that somebody disrespected somebody.
Threatened his family.
Threatened his baby.
Yeah.
So that you went up to the car to confront them, which was very...
Wrong.
Stupid.
Yeah.
And then he did the smart thing. He rolled up the window.
Yes.
Because he had been doing a very stupid thing, cruising around and calling people names and, you know, just being a general Tweedledum and Tweedledee, being two idiots. Right?
Yes.
Because I expect the truth from you. I really expect the whole truth from you. From them, I didn't get the truth so far. All I got from them was they were just driving around being very mild young men because they suffer from a handicap, because they can't read, because they have a disability, because despite the fact that they go to school every day and try very, very hard to learn, they can't learn to read. right?
Yep.
So I expect the truth from you. Now, you went up to the car, and how many times did you kick the car?
Once.
And when you kicked the car once, did you break the window?
Yes.
What happened next?
I ran to a friend's car, got in the car, and left.
Did you at any time cut Dustin with a knife?
No, ma'am.
Were you ever charged with cutting him with a knife?
No, ma'am.
Anybody have a police report?
Your Honor, I went to get a police report, but they couldn't release it because he was a juvenile.
Nobody has a police report.
I couldn't get one.
Now, you were found guilty of whatever, of vandalizing the car, which you did kick
Burglary.
at least once. Burglary.
Yes.
Was this the first time you were convicted of anything, or have you been convicted of something before?
I had a possession of alcohol charge before and assault causing injury before.
Assaulting whom?
A kid is picking on my little sister.
And what did you do to him?
Put him in a headlock, slammed him into the locker.
Tyson, you got to learn to control yourself.
I have.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
Well, you haven't. At least you didn't on that evening, because you went up to the car for no reason. This fight didn't concern you at all.
No.
And you went up there and kicked their car. Now, according to you, Justin, there were a lot of girls around there who were kicking your car.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you charge any of them?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Because I was not going to get out of my car because there was too many of them, and I'm not going to get out of my car to hit a girl.
I didn't ask you why you didn't hit him. I asked you why you didn't tell the police that there were a lot of people there kicking your car, making dents in your car before he came
We did.
to the
I did,
car.
ma'am.
Did you have damage to your car?
Not by the girls.
How do you know that?
Because I live on a gravel road with and I had a lot of dust on my car, and there was no dents or anything.
So the only damage that was done to your car was him knocking the window out of your car.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
And when I was trying to get out of the car, I accidentally put my foot through, like, where my speaker was, because my foot got caught.
What were you trying to get out of the car for?
Because I was going to run.
15 people around you and you were going to run? Or were you going to fight them?
I was going to run.
Have you ever been arrested before?
Yes, ma'am.
For what?
Fighting.
There's no such crime in the penal law as fighting.
Assault.
There's assault in the penal law. And you?
Same thing.
Assault.
Yes.
How many times, Justin, have you been arrested for assault?
Numerous times.
And you, Dustin?
Same thing.
How many times have you been found guilty of assault?
Every
Many
time.
times.
Because I committed to him.
What do you mean you committed to him?
I said
Plead guilty.
I told him that I did it. I didn't lie about it.
But you don't learn. Can I see the paperwork on the order of conviction for burglary and any other paperwork that you have with regard to a court order by a judge? Moms, you can stand up now. I want to see it. Tyson, how come you lied initially?
So I didn't want to get in trouble for it.
Who did you lie to? Police?
My JCO,
What's JCO?
juvenile court officer.
And when you lied to the juvenile court officer initially, Tyson, did you lie to him the same kind of face that you're lying to me?
No.
I want you to show me your lying face.
Grin.
What?
I have a grin on my face when I lie.
Really? He believed you when you lied to him initially, right?
Yep.
It's just sometimes hard to figure out who's lying and who's not.
Yep.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Ah, right. Because the first time you spoke to your juvenile officer, you told me you didn't know. I don't know. I wasn't there. Well, after you had this problem in 1999, Tyson, you were expelled from school for another problem with another student. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, got a bad temper?
Yep.
Now I'd like to see the paperwork you have as a result of this incident.
I just got medical bills here.
So you didn't turn it in to your insurance?
The hospital didn't turn it in, no.
I'm surprised. Why not?
That I have no idea. They didn't turn it in. The insurance cards was there, but they never turned it in.
Well, they will. They will. They should. And your boys are covered?
They're covered.
Mm-hmm. Now I'd like you to come up here, Dustin, because I want to take a look at your arm.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this the scar?
Yeah, big one right there. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Tyson, I have to make a judgment whether or not you actually cut Dustin with a knife. And it is my belief that you did. Because when somebody is injured like that, and there's no question, I've read the hospital records, and there's no question he had a laceration, and there's no question that he had sutures. When that happens, you want the person who is responsible to be prosecuted. Now, you were, in fact, charged with assault with a weapon. The fact that you pled guilty to cover all the charges and the rest of the charges were dismissed doesn't mean that you were found not guilty of those charges. It means that you pled. It means that you pled out.
Plea bargain.
That's right. Look how smart you're getting. You also have a temper. Now, these two idiots were driving around, and their mother knows that they were driving around doing the wrong thing, right?
Well, yeah.
They were doing the wrong thing, but that doesn't give you license to take out even a pocket knife, which is what you took out, and cut him. It doesn't give you license to do that. You're lucky. You're lucky that they let you get away with it.
But I didn't stab him, ma'am.
Yes, you did. You stabbed him. You didn't stab him. You cut him. I mean, stabbing is this way.
His ex-girlfriend came up to me last week and apologized for lying to the cops about it.
Listen, you tell me who cut him.
Nobody did.
Sure they did. He was cut.
He cut himself.
How?
With a knife.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
You think that he's dumb enough to do that? I mean, it's possible.
Yes, I do.
It's possible that he's dumb enough to do that. Possible. I don't think so. And the problem is that you put yourself in the situation by going over, getting involved in a situation that you had absolutely no reason to be involved with. Somebody said something made you mad. You went up to the car, kicked the car, knocked the window out. Stupid. The fact that you started it because you were looking for trouble, driving around, shouting out of the car, you were with your girlfriend, it was her birthday, your mother shouldn't have let you drive a car anyway. They don't go to school. You explain to me why they don't go to school.
They've been on add and subtract since they've been in 2nd grade, and I'm tired of it. 95% of the kids in Iowa get their GED.
In any event, I find that you cut them. I also find that they're a little bit culpable themselves and that they had no out-of-pocket expenses with regard to this injury because the insurance is going to cover it. Now, did he pay for breaking the window?
No, I've got the estimate on.
Just tell me how much it was for breaking the window.
The window is at $189, but I've got pictures of other damages that was done to the car.
I don't care what the other damage was done to the car. There were 12 girls around the car that they chose not to identify because your son said, well, we live on a dirt road and the car was very dirty. He went up, he kicked the car, he kicked the window out of the car, and there were 12 other people involved. So it's $189 for the car and $1,000 for cutting him. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,189. That's all.
Now this is case number 218 on the calendar in the matter of Irizarry versus Irizarry. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat. Ma'am, you also.
Miss Irizarry, I'm going to make short shrift of one part of your case,
Okay.
and that has to do with rent, this little tidbit of rent that you
Okay.
want from the defendant, who's your brother. I want to stay with the claim for the destroyed motorcycle,
Okay.
because that's really the basis of your claim, the destroyed motorcycle. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There's your claim. Your brother doesn't deny that he was riding on your motorcycle. He totaled it. Damage was substantial to the motorcycle, over $3,000. His defense is that you should have had better insurance. And, shh, is that right? And he is counterclaiming because he says if you had better insurance, he wouldn't have had to have paid all the medical bills when he was injured when he had this accident with your motorcycle. So that is his counterclaim, and he is counterclaiming for $5,000. Is that right, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
When did you get this motorcycle, Miss Irizarry?
Actually 2 months before he wrecked it on me.
And how much did you pay for it?
$3,500.
You have the bill?
No. I don't have the bill, but actually I have, from the place that I bought it from, papers of the same year and same bike and same model for the price.
Who did you buy it from?
A private owner.
Tell me about the day that your brother borrowed it.
He usually takes it. He'll ask us to borrow it, and he always tells us if anything ever happens, he'll go ahead and he'll pay $3,000 for the bike if anything ever happened to the bike. The day he asked me to borrow it...
when did he say that? Do you mean, sis, can I borrow your bike, and if anything happens to it, I'll pay you $3,000? Is that what he says?
Well, in Florida...
I want to know. I'm asking you.
Well, what happened is in Florida, you don't need insurance on a motorcycle, and I told him...
You didn't answer my question.
Go ahead.
So you mean what your brother said to you was, sis, can I borrow your bike? And if anything happens to the bike, I'm going to give you $3,000. That's what he said
After
each
I
time
hesitated a couple times, yes.
Huh?
After I hesitated a couple times, yes, that's what he said.
Now, on what date did he borrow the bike when it was in this accident?
June 6th of 2002.
Tell me about that date.
Actually, that day, he just, like normal, asked to borrow the bike, and he went on his way. I was with his girlfriend and my fiance, and we were going to a swimming pool, and one of his buddies had told us that he seen our bike on the side of the road with 2 police cars around it, and that was pretty much it. We drove up to the scene where it was. My brother wasn't there at the time. The bike was crashed. The 2 officers were there, were actually on their way to charge my brother with reckless driving before we got there. And he is, at the time, was a fellow officer, and I guess he knew one of the officers there and kind of got my brother out of that. And we went to the hospital. We went to the hospital.
I'm sure he's really pleased that you just advised me of that.
Well,
go ahead.
Being honest. And and we pretty much met him at the hospital. The cops informed us that we had the tow truck coming on their way to tow the bike, and it was undrivable. And that was pretty much it. And I went to the hospital.
And he was in the hospital?
Yes.
How long did you stay in the hospital?
4 hours.
4 hours. What'd they do for you?
They just cleaned the wounds and sent me on my way. I was down for about a little shy of 2 months. Couldn't work, couldn't move.
Why couldn't you work?
Because I had road rash all over my whole body.
So you borrowed your sister's bike, you totaled it. Go ahead. Let me hear you.
The day I had borrowed the bike, I was asked to drive the motorbike to see if there was any knocking noise. Her and her boyfriend had asked me to test drive the bike to see if it does any noises. I took it for a quick ride. On my way back, I was going over railroad tracks. The back tire popped out on me. I tried to control the bike. I couldn't control it. It says I was swerving in and out of the lanes. The total distance from the tracks to the board of the bike was 370 feet. I only slid about 50 feet to 75 the most. And then after that, when I got into the hospital, I told her I got AAA, drove back to the house, put it in a bargain trader. We're on eBay because she had got rid of a car with a blown motor that way. I said, we'll do it that way too.
I don't know what you're talking about. What gibberish are you talking about?
Neither do I.
I told her not to put the bike in the junkyard, not to tow it. Tow it back to the house, and I'll be able to sell it. So that way, you know, it's not all the way money out of pocket. So here I am. I'm sitting here thinking about, well, shouldn't she have insurance on it or provided me with a helmet or anything? And the back tire was totally bald. That it started showing spots to the back tire.
Had you ever used this motorcycle before, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times before had you used it?
Quite a few. Sometimes I was stuck with the bike. Sometimes she would ask.
Shh,
don't speak. You ran out of gas.
Don't speak. I'm talking to him. Had you used it more than 10 times?
Oh, yes.
More than 20 times?
About, yes.
How old are you?
I'm 22.
How is your vision?
Good.
Really good?
Yeah.
Good vision. Good enough so that you can tell if a tire is bald or not, right?
Right, but...
Don't say but me no buts.
Sorry.
But me no buts. So on this particular day, you say you had not borrowed the bike, but you were asked to do a test drive on the bike.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Baloney.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You were going so fast, the bike was airborne, sir.
Right.
Right.
And it also says...
That's what it says.
And later today...
You ultimately returned the dress to her in a shopping bag.
Yes.
Wrong!
Right. No, you're right. You're exactly right.
That's why I'm here.
Right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Was Christina's fault.
Let me see the paperwork she has with regard to a bike of similar condition. Then I may just cut it in half because I don't believe a word she says about how much she paid for it, because if any normal person has some bill of sale with regard to a bike.
I also have a police report stating that he was driving recklessly and 2 written witnesses on the report.
Can I see the police report, please?
Yes. It even says that when he hit the track tire, how can he actually go in the air?
I'm going to ask you this question. I know that you don't need insurance, and certainly I'm going to take his counterclaim. I'm speaking. Don't you understand that?
Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You may be younger, but I'm smarter.
Definitely.
All I really want to do is read this so that I can yell at him a little bit more and then figure out how much I'm going to give you for your bike. And then I'll let you go with your fiancé, and your fiancé is going to get you outside and say to you, how could you have talked about my job like that? Right? In front of all those people, that he got him off on a charge? Wait until he gets you outside. Explain to her the ramifications of that, sir. Not smart, you know. Well, there are witnesses here that say that you were going so fast the bike was airborne, sir.
Right.
Right.
And it also says...
That's what it says.
And also,
Anyway, you borrow somebody's property, you don't take good care of it, you got to pay for it. The fact that she is not required to have insurance in the state where you live is kind of ridiculous, because if he had used your bike and instead of just hurting himself, he had killed somebody else, you know who they would come after?
Me.
Right.
Yes.
Right. I probably think you got a good deal on this bike and paid maybe $2,500 for it, and that's what you're going to get. As far as your counterclaim is concerned, it's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Absolutely the dumbest thing I ever heard. You did the wrong thing.
well, I'm suing her because of the tire, not because of the insurance.
Listen to me. The tire was bald?
That's right.
There's a term in the law called assumption of risk. Let me tell you what that means. That means that if you do something that's dumb, you assume the risk and the consequences of your actions. Now, unless you can tell me that her eyesight is so much better than yours and you could not see that this tire was bald, according to your testimony, you drove this bike at least 20 times in the 2 months that she owned the bike.
That's right.
And that if you were going to get on the bike and if you knew that the tire was bald, because you could see that the tire was bald, then you shouldn't have gotten on the bike. You should say, sis, I'm not going to do a test drive on this bike until you put a new tire on it because the tire's no good. But if you get on the bike, knowing that the tire is bald, you assume the risk of anything that happens. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Got me out of a ticket.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Benavente versus Lanza, step forward, please.
21-year-old Monique Benavente is suing the father of her child, 24-year-old Carlos Lanza, for 2 truck payments. Carlos says Monique offered to help him out.
How old are you, Miss Benavente?
21.
How old are you, Mr. Lanza?
24.
2 of you have a child together.
Correct.
How old is that child?
5 months, 2 weeks.
Is that your only child?
Yes, ma'am.
What about you, Mr. Lanza?
Yes.
Your only child?
Excuse me?
What?
He told me he had another son.
You have another child?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever tell you had another child?
I did.
Why?
I thought I had a child with the girl that pregnancy test never came back and said it was mine. So it wasn't, shouldn't have told her something like that because it wasn't irrelevant.
That's not what he told me.
This is all getting too unseemly for me. Mr. Lanza, you're 24 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
You've had maybe 1, possibly 2 out-of-wedlock children. That's enough.
He also told me that he was 27.
Well, he gets confused. In any event, you should have been smart enough to use some birth control so that we wouldn't be here involved. And who is this lady?
My mother.
How many children in your family?
There's 4 altogether.
Are you the oldest, the youngest, or in the middle?
In the middle.
All the other children live home?
No, ma'am.
You think your mother signed on to take care of a new baby?
No.
You live at home?
Yes, ma'am.
Look at it this way. It might keep you young. Then again, it might not. In addition to making a mistake of having a child with him, you gave him 2 truck payments because he was behind in his truck payments. A truck that is in his mother's name. In your mother's name?
Yes, ma'am.
You're very polite. Did you ask her so politely when you needed the truck payments?
I got behind. The work was slow, and she was getting a check from a settlement from a car accident she was in a couple years ago, and it was our only vehicle that we had at the time.
That's not true.
I was driving her everywhere, from San Jose to Modesto to her doctor appointments, shopping, all that stuff. And
Where were you living?
Behind. Excuse me?
Where were you living?
San Jose.
With her?
Yes.
Just the 2 of you?
No, we were in a cousin's house.
Whose cousin?
My cousin.
And?
And after that, we moved in with my dad because I was working with him, general contractor. And, work was too slow. Yeah, she offered to help me pay the truck payments. That way we wouldn't lose. I wasn't working at the time because her back and being pregnant, she couldn't be at a salon for 8-10 hours,
That's not true.
Don't interrupt him again. How long did you live together where you supported her?
Maybe 9 months.
How long did you live together when you were not working, Miss Benavente?
Around 9 months, off and on.
And he was supporting you?
No, ma'am. I worked, I did hair, and I paid some of our bills. I paid for a lot of our food, and I did support him in finding a job, paying his gas money that he would use for other things that I found out later.
And what did he pay for?
He paid for some of what I just said. He paid for some of the food, some of the Macy's
What
bills.
did you pay for, Mr. Lanza?
Actually, I got her the phone. It was a T-Mobile phone. I was paying the monthly payments. You know, I bought her food, I bought her clothes, I bought her shoes. Anything she needed, I got it. You know, when I was working in a contract, I would actually leave work.
Doesn't anybody pay rent?
Yeah, I was paying rent, of course. I was paying.
Where were you paying the rent?
I was paying my cousin $500 a month.
Is that right?
No, we got kicked out of his cousins because he wasn't paying rent.
I did pay. The whole situation was that we were there for almost 4 months. On the third month, I spoke to my cousin, look, man, my work has slowed down. I could give you $250 now and then $250 towards the end of the month. He said, well, you know what? You know, I'm behind too. I just lost my job, you know, so you're going to have to do something. I said, well, I don't want to owe you money. So I told him, you know what? We could just leave. I'll just go and...
I got it. Now, Ms. Benavente, why don't you tell me how it came about that you made these 2 truck payments? You were pregnant.
I was pregnant.
And you only had 1 car at the time.
No, that's not true.
Oh, yes, it is.
Okay, fine.
And you had 1 car at the time. And he was driving you to and from your medical appointments?
Sometimes.
Listen, unless you're stuck in his cousin's house or in his father's house, then wherever you had to go, somebody was taking you.
I was stuck there. My mom would pick me up. He would drop me off at my mom's house, and she would take me to my appointments, and sometimes he would meet us there.
So he would drop you off at your mother's house. I mean, first you lied to me and said to me that you had 2 cars. Now you're telling me that he would drop you off at your mother's house so she could take you to the appointments. Let me hear about the 2 truck payments, Miss Benavente.
Okay, so he couldn't hold a job, and he asked me to borrow them. He agreed to pay me back, and I believed him.
No. Tell me what he said to you. Where were you? Where was he? Tell me about it.
We were at his dad's house, and he asked me, he said, look, I can't work unless I have a car. It's going to get repossessed. My mom's credit's going to get ruined. Can you please help me out? And he said, I promise I will pay you back when I get a job. When he got a job, he never paid me back.
Did you tell her you would pay her back?
No, ma'am. The whole thing about us living together means, I mean, I would think when you...
No, don't tell me what you think.
Anyways,
tell me what was said.
I need these truck payments because now we're going to lose the only vehicle. So she said, fine. We made the payments and everything was fine.
In what month did you make the payments?
It was either late December, early January.
And when did the 2 of you separate?
June.
In June?
Yes, ma'am.
Between January and June, did he pay for the truck?
He didn't pay me anything.
And you lived together?
Yes.
And it was after you separated that you sued him, is that right?
Yes, but I continuously asked him to please pay me back.
You were living together as a couple, madam, at the time that he made these 2 truck payments. He was paying rent, he was paying bills, and I assume that you were working marginally before your baby was born, if at all, at least in the last 3 months. Somebody had to support you. Somebody had to be paying the bills. That was not you, and it was not your mother. And I'm quick to note that you and the defendant were not living with your mother, but you were living with the defendant in his cousin's house or in his father's house. Put your hand down. You weren't there. And it doesn't make sense to me that living in that kind of situation, expecting a baby, and living as a couple, he would say to you, could you loan me this money and I will pay you back, when he was in fact supporting you. Your case is dismissed, that's all.
Parties are excused, you may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He was cheating on me, and he's piggy bank, about $300 to $500.
I put money in that piggy bank.
I walked in on him stealing it. His hands were like this.
Yeah, I was putting money in the piggy bank for my son.
He doesn't pay child support. He doesn't do anything for our son.
I haven't seen my son the past 4 months because the only way is to go to her mom's house, and that's not okay with me.
Well, we'll see him in court.
My family loves my son too, and you know, we're gonna fight. We're gonna get this going.
We had many talks in reference to jobs, holding a job, showing interest in getting a job. We'd sit and have coffee and talk.
Her mom's really controlling. She wants to be in control of everything and wants to put a lot of things in her daughter's mind.
This is really unbelievable.
Do not date him. He's a liar and he's a sociopath.
The one who's crazy is really her because she had a good guy.
I don't want anything to do with it.
Jessica Evler says her half-sister, Melanie Zampino, stole furniture during tenancy in her home. Jessica claims she kicked Melanie out because she was using drugs.
Miss Evler, the defendant is your half-sister, and according to what I read, you only recently, in the last few years, had a relationship with each other.
Yes.
According to your complaint, you rented a home that you own to your sister with the understanding that she would have an option to buy it after she paid rent for a while.
Yes.
Subsequently, within a relatively short period of time after she moved in, you evicted her. But your lawsuit wants your furniture back. And you say when you left some furniture in the basement that was yours. You allowed her to use some furniture. But when she moved out, she took your things. The defendant says that you gave her a living room set, that the bedroom furniture that you claim you want back was actually repossessed by the company that you had rented it from, so she doesn't have that. And she is counterclaiming because she says that because of your precipitous behavior, which was not warranted by anything she did, she was forced to move, she had moving expenses, she was forced to move very quickly, and she wants to be compensated for that and all of her emotional distress. When did you lease her your house?
It was in July.
And when did you evict her?
I gave her notice September 10th.
Had she paid rent in August?
Yes.
Had she paid rent in September?
No.
Why did you evict her?
There was drug usage going on, and I only agreed to 4 people living in the house.
How did you know there was drug use going on in the house?
August 24th, my uncle had came there, and they smoked it right in front of him.
Smoked what?
Pot.
Who did?
Melanie and a guy named by the name of Brandon.
You agreed, you said, for 4 people to live in the house?
Yes.
Who were the 4 people?
Her, Christina New Church, which is right over there, and their...
Is this a friend?
It's my roommate. We've lived together for 9 years.
Okay.
And they have each 1 child.
How many people were living there?
Between 7 and 8.
Who else was living there?
I got 2 people that were not even residing there, a piece of mail of theirs.
Can I see?
Mm-hmm.
Who's Brandon?
My cousin. He did not live there. He stayed there occasionally during the week because Christina works 3rd shift, and he tended the kids. I did pay him.
Where did he live otherwise?
He lived with his father.
Was Joseph?
My husband. Some of my utilities were in his name. My husband and I have been separated for...
Tell me about the furniture.
We did have a verbal agreement about the living room set. If she purchased the home, it would be added in with the cost of the house. However, she didn't buy the house, so the furniture didn't come with the house. And I did try to call her.
Go ahead. Let's deal with the living room furniture first.
Okay. When we discussed the house, she said to me, you can have my washer and dryer, you can have my living room set, you can have the bedroom set if you pay the last $150 to Color Time where she was renting her bedroom set from. I said, I have an antique set, I don't want the bedroom set, but I will take the living room set because mine is used. The living room set was stained with marker. One of her children must have wrote on it. Her husband works on cars. There's massive grease marks on the one where he must have sat regularly, which I have all pictures to show. She gave me the living room set. She never said if you purchase the home or if we don't come back, because when she actually on September 10th asked me to move out, she told me it was because her grandmother threw her out of the house that she was staying in South Carolina. I do not use drugs, and I'm
Can I see a picture of this living room set that she wants back?
Of just the living room set in question?
Mm-hmm.
Because I did bring pictures of my old living room set just to show you why I would switch.
You're talking about the sofas and the end tables as well?
And the coffee table. And I did attempt to take pictures of the markings.
Well, when I left, there might have been a little bit of, like, grease stains, but there was no marker on my living room set. It was only...
When did you purchase it?
February of 2 years ago.
You have a receipt for it?
Mm-hmm.
Can I see it, please? And who lived in the house with you?
My husband and my 2 children.
How old are your children?
1 and 2.
This doesn't tell me when you purchased it. Take that, please, Bud. Return that to her. I don't know what this furniture looked like when you left, but certainly a month later, it looks pretty used and pretty abused to me. And when you have 2 young children, that's what furniture like this looks like. Certainly not worth much. You'd have to pay somebody to take it out. You would. You'd have to pay somebody to take out these 2 sofas. What's next? What about the bedroom's furniture?
I purchased that, and I actually have the original bill. And when I got into my house in late September, I came to clean it up and stuff. The bed was set up, but it was sliced. The bed was set up in the basement like someone had been sleeping there.
So what are you talking about, just the mattress?
The mattress and the headboard was damaged, and I have pictures of that.
Who slept on the mattress?
When we lived there, me and my husband.
When I lived there, no one. I had my own set.
Fine. Did you slice the mattress?
I did not. I also have a letter from Color Time stating that they repossessed her bedroom furniture that she left in the basement.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about the mattress.
Oh.
And they took the dressers, by the way, because I had asked them to take the dressers.
We're not talking about a whole bunch of money. I mean, we're certainly not talking about $3,500. Maybe we're talking about $100. I'm just trying to figure out why we're all here.
I'd like to make a statement on that.
Go ahead.
Judge Judy, because I feel that we're here for the same reason that Jessica, the only time she ever interacts with me is when there's trouble to be made. When she needs something, she'll call me. When she needs a babysitter, she'll call me. I actually paid money to find her because I wanted to know my sister. And the only thing that's coming out of this, no matter how you look at it, is a destroyed relationship.
That's unfortunate. When did she tell you to move?
September 10th.
And when did you move?
She gave me until September 28th when she started calling the law and having her stepfather threaten to put me out the quote-unquote old-fashioned way.
Did anything happen September 10th that precipitated this?
No.
I basically had coming back to Pennsylvania. My grandma has, her name's on the house also, so she had a decision to make, and she made that.
That doesn't give me an answer. That's a lot of double talk. You were coming back to live there, is that right?
Yes.
All right, so you were coming back to live there, so you told her to move.
Yes, well, the drug usage was the reason why.
No, no, because if the drug usage was the reason why, you would have told her to move on August 24th or August 25th. You didn't. Or the 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. You told her to move on September 10th because you had to come back to your house. So stop making up excuses. You get it?
Yes.
And you had a responsibility to give her 30 days notice. You didn't do that.
In that town, you only have to legally give 10 days.
Because you're not allowed to legally rent without a renter's permit, and she didn't have one.
Not nice. Okay. So you get nothing. Not even the $100 that maybe your mattress is worth if it was destroyed, and maybe your coffee tables were worth. Because what you did was the wrong thing, because they're living there with, let's say, 4 people, including 2 children. 2 children who by September 10th have started school, have settled in, and because you can't live where you were going to live and had to come home, you told them to move and gave them what I consider no notice. Not even the right thing to do to a stranger, but to do to somebody who's related to you? Outrageous. Now, where did you move?
I live in Dover. I'd like not to say exactly where because I don't...
Fine. Did you pay her September's rent?
I did. I have that here.
Can I see it, please?
Then she didn't pay August. She paid 1 month.
How many months' rent did you pay?
I only paid September because when she moved, I was supposed to move in September 1st. When she moved, she had gone down to South Carolina and came back. There was some, like, flooding. People were messing around with her house. She said, Melanie, please just move in as soon as possible. I had to clean up as well.
Just a second. When did you move in?
Mid-July.
Well, then you should have paid 2 months' rent. You only paid 1. You saved a little bit of money so that you had enough money to put down on another apartment. I'm going to entertain.
Yes, the only problem that I had was just finding something. We moved, we
And you
lived
found
just fine.
something?
Yes.
That's good.
Can I say something, Matt? The electric and gas was shut off September 22nd. When my grandfather went the 26th, everything was moldy, the freezer, everything. So they were out for a while.
Listen to me very carefully. You did the wrong thing. You wanted to move back to your house. You wanted her out. It had nothing to do with drugs or other people living there. It had to do with you coming home because you had no place else to live. So I don't know why you're suing her, because the truth of the matter is, if you hadn't brought this lawsuit, she wouldn't have counterclaimed. She was willing to forget it.
Yes, I redid
Forget
an
it.
entire
It's over.
room.
It's over. You did the wrong thing. You owe an apology, not a lawsuit. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
22-year-old daycare provider Melanie Bartlett is suing former client Thomas Jones for unpaid daycare fees and late charges. Thomas says Melanie left his son in the care of a certified schizophrenic.
Miss Bartlett, you run a daycare service, is that right?
Yes, I do.
And Mr. Jones had 1 child?
Yes.
A little boy.
Yes, ma'am.
Enrolled in your daycare. Is your claim that he took the child out of daycare without giving you notice, that he owes you for a certain period of time that the child was there when he didn't pay, and he also owes you for a whole bunch of late fees because he took the child out without notice. Mr. Jones says that he owes you some money for the daycare.
That's correct, Your Honor.
It is his claim that he had good cause to remove his son from your daycare because you were not properly caring for him.
That is not true, Your Honor.
So let's resolve what we can resolve, and then we'll get on to what's in dispute. How much money, Mr. Jones, do you owe her for the time your son, who was how old at the time?
14 and a half, 15 months, Your Honor.
How much do you owe Miss Bartlett for the time she did, in fact, care for him?
Approximately 2 weeks, Your Honor.
Okay.
That's
And
untrue. He paid me the first week, and then after that, I had no other payment from him.
Well, I'm trying to recall First weeks were paid in full. The second week, I received partial payment. That's what you said.
$45.
Well,
Yes.
but you have to add that.
Yes.
So we paid you partially.
Yes.
For the second week. So each week was how much? Ms. Park?
$160. And the late fees are $10.
Just a second. $435 is what you owe her for the time your son was there and you didn't pay.
That's correct, ma'am.
Now let's get to termination fee and all of that stuff. Miss Bartlett, how many children do you take care of?
I just started my daycare, so I was in the process of getting my license, and he was my first customer.
Were you licensed at the time?
No. I made him aware of that. I have the paperwork that I was in the process of getting the license, and
That's
I made him
untrue, Your
aware
Honor.
of that when he enrolled his son.
At the time you took care of him, you were not a licensed daycare provider. Is
No.
that what you're telling me?
I was in the process of getting the license. It was just paperwork.
At the time you
No.
took care of his son, you were not a licensed daycare provider.
No.
Did you know that?
No, ma'am.
How did you locate her?
Through the internet.
Do you have a copy of the ad?
Unfortunately, I do not, Your Honor.
I do.
Let me see it, please. Oh, well, this is deceptive, Miss Bartlett. Melanie Bartlett, that's you. License number upon request.
The only choice was to put in a license number or to say upon request. And I was
No,
in
the
process.
choice is I don't have one. That's your choice. When I say it's deceptive, it says upon request. Upon request means I have one and I'll give it to you if you ask me for it. So that's deceptive. Now let me see the contract that he signed. In the contract, do you say that you are not licensed?
I didn't mention anything about being licensed or not licensed in the contract, no.
Well, then that's deceptive, Miss Bartlett. That's one thing. Got to ask questions.
Yes.
Better questions when you're turning over the most precious commodity that you have to somebody that you don't know your license. Check to make sure it's a valid license with the state. You know how to do that now?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right. The most egregious thing, if it's true, is he removed the child from your care during the second week in October. Is that right?
Approximately that, yes, ma'am.
And on October 7th, according to you, something happened. Want to tell me what happened?
I was informed by Melanie that she was going to a funeral. She asked if she could take my son to this funeral. She told me her mother would be going to watch my son.
That is untrue.
I don't want to hear.
I agreed to this, and I later found out that my son was left in the care of someone who was not qualified, alone in a car with him for, I don't know how long, maybe 20, 30 minutes. This individual happens to be a state-diagnosed schizophrenic, and,
That's what you wrote.
And I'm very fortunate that nothing happened to my son, that this wasn't a point where, something went wrong.
And after that, you took him out.
Yes, ma'am.
Go.
He knew the day before. My ex-boyfriend was doing work with him, and he informed him of the funeral that I would be attending. He brought it up as soon as he came to pick up his child that day, and I told him I had a friend who could watch his son, and I told him it was the friend he was referring to, who happens to be schizophrenic.
That's untrue.
And he
Listen to
said
me.
that there was nothing wrong.
Listen to me. You have to skip a funeral. You have a job.
I know.
Listen to me. Did you leave this child in a car?
Yes.
Wrong. You don't do that.
I left him in there with my friend. The air conditioning was on, and it was
Listen
10
to
minutes.
me. That's not your job. You have one job when you take care of a 14-month-old baby.
He
and it's
didn't
not
say
to go.
anything that
I'm
he didn't want
speaking
him
to
to
you.
go.
And it's not to go to a funeral. And it's not to leave a baby in a car. And it's not to leave a baby in a car with someone who was on disability for a psychiatric illness. Because according to what you said in your statement, because you anticipated what he was going to say, I was attending a funeral for my ex-boyfriend's family member. I left Jacob asleep in the car for a total of 10 minutes with a good friend. He is a schizophrenic, but he's been on his medication. Did they give you a license?
Yes.
That's a big mistake.
I would trust him with my own 9-month-old daughter. and
That's
he's watched
your
her on several
prerogative.
occasions.
Listen to me. That is your prerogative. You can trust him with your 9-month-old if you wish. You cannot trust him with somebody else's 9-year-old. Do I make myself clear?
Yes.
So you don't get termination fees or late fees or any other fees.
He knew the day before that...
Listen, I don't care what he knew. There is no way that you're going to tell me that you told him that you were going to leave his son in a car with a diagnosed schizophrenic but who's taking his medication. I don't believe that you told him all of that.
My mother was there when I told him that.
I wouldn't believe you if you told me or your mother told me that. What I am going to give you is the money that he owes you for the time that he used your services.
It's written in the contract about the late fees. He gave me no notice. I had no
I wouldn't give you a second notice.
I had no idea he was not going to bring his son back to me.
Listen to me. I don't care whether you knew or not. You're not getting it. Maybe your mother can explain it to you. Maybe the state where you live will listen. Because after what I said to you, if you still think that it was appropriate to leave a child in the care of a diagnosed schizophrenic who receives disability, that speaks to your judgment in caring for infants ages 0 to 2, which is what you wouldn't let you take care of a guppy age 0 to 2. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $435, and you're lucky you're getting it. That's all.
Jennifer Spurgeon is suing her son, 25-year-old Ozzie, when he was arrested for writing fraudulent checks.
Miss Spurgeon, you are willing to acknowledge here in court that this is your child?
Yes, my son.
According to your complaint, he owes you for bailing him out of jail.
Yes, he does.
He says he never asked you. You bailed him out on your own. What were you in jail for, sir?
I forged some checks in 02.
For forgery?
Yes, ma'am.
And the forgery was in 2002?
Yes, ma'am.
When were you incarcerated?
New Year's Eve, 05.
Is that because that's when you were arrested or because you violated your parole or probation?
That's when I got arrested.
For the forgery in 2002?
Yes, ma'am.
It took him 3 years to figure it out?
It took him 3 years to catch me, ma'am. I did because I didn't do anything else wrong.
Is that the only time you've been arrested?
No, ma'am.
Between 2002 and 2005, how many times were you arrested?
0.
Before 2002?
Couple, 2 or 3.
For what?
Me and a couple of my friends stole a racing four-wheeler.
Stole a what?
A four-wheeler, a racing four-wheeler when I was 17.
How old are you now?
25.
Oh, that's a long time ago. What else?
Possession of marijuana.
When was that?
I was 19.
Anything else?
Possession again.
Don't learn your lesson.
No, ma'am.
Now, is that forgery case resolved at this point?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it resolved after a trial or a plea?
After a plea.
What did you plead guilty to and when?
I pled guilty to forgery. I'm not sure. It was like the last case was just resolved 2 months ago.
Which last case?
Well, there was 3 counties the checks were in. It was 3 different counties.
Where'd you get the checks from?
A friend of mine.
Whose checks were they?
His checks.
You stole the checks from him or he gave them to you?
He gave them to me.
To do what with?
To get money.
What were you using the money for?
All kinds of different things.
So it took whatever county was 3 years to figure out what was going on. So you were arrested December 31st, 2005.
Yes, ma'am.
What was your bail?
In the beginning, it was $89,000.
Was your friend arrested too?
I don't have any idea.
Why was your bail so high?
Because of the amount of checks that there was.
How much?
I don't remember.
Give me a ballpark figure.
$1,500.
How long did you spend in jail?
46 days.
Was that the first time you had been incarcerated?
For 46 days, yes, ma'am.
More than a day or two?
No. It was the second time.
How long was the previous time you were incarcerated for a substantial period?
A couple days, no.
A couple of days?
Yes, ma'am.
So this was 46 days?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you like it?
No, wasn't fun at all.
How many times did you speak to your mother? Did you call her?
Oh, yeah.
You call her every week?
Every couple days.
What'd you talk about?
Everything. How I was doing, how I was feeling. Was I learning anything? Was I going to do it again? My daughter.
You have a child?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you do for a living now, Mr. Stephan?
I run a concrete business.
A what?
Custom concrete business.
Custom concrete?
Yeah.
You work all the time?
Most of the time.
You make a living?
Yes, ma'am.
You filed tax returns last year?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. How much did you earn?
I don't remember.
Ballpark.
$35,000.
Nice. And you only have one child?
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you live with?
I live with my father.
Still working the same business that you did last year when you were...
No, ma'am.
Making $35,000?
No, ma'am.
So you left a good business and you went into the custom concrete business?
Yes, ma'am.
So you must make more money?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Love it. Now, it's one of the things you spoke to about your mother, how unhappy you were in prison?
In jail? Yeah, of course.
Did you discuss with her bailing you out?
It came up time to time.
How did it come up?
I would ask her if she would bail me out, and she would tell me no.
And?
And?
But look where you are. You're here. 46 days later, you're here. So how did it come about, sir, that you got bailed out?
I finally made it to the last county that I was going to, and I made a phone call to my mom, and she had said...
You made a phone call to your mom at the last county. Shh. We do everything my way here, because it's my playpen. So you finally got to the last county where you had a shipment, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And the bail in the other counties had been sort of resolved, so you were waiting to get to the last place because they weren't letting go of you until you got to the last place, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So now you got to the last place and you called your mom and you said...
Hi, Mom, what's up?
And she said...
I mean, basically, that's what I called her and said, hey, how you doing? And she told me to call her back in an hour. She was working on something.
And that's all you said to her. Hi, Mom, what's doing?
How's it going? Yeah.
How's it going?
And she...
All right, good. Now he's at the last county. What day is it, Mrs. Spurgeon?
Around the 7th or 8th of February, 06.
And he calls you from the last county that wants him,
Yes.
right? And what does he say to you, and what do you say to him?
He was pretty upset.
What did he say?
Mom, I can't take it anymore. You've got to get me out of here. I've called Grandma. Grandma can't help. She has no money. She's on disability, my father's pension. And
is this your mother?
This is my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I told him that I couldn't get him out. I didn't have any kind of money. All I had was my credit cards.
And he said?
I got a friend that's a bondsman. If you'll call him, he'll cut us a deal.
He said?
Ozzy gave me the name of the bondsman to call.
And did you call?
I did call him, yes.
And did you get a deal?
$1,500 is not a deal when, you know, I didn't get to spend any of it. I had to give it away.
Is that what it cost you to get him out?
Yes, all totally.
What's your mother's last name?
McMullen.
Would you step up, Miss McMullen? How many grandchildren do you have?
17.
Is he one that you like?
He always calls up and says, this is your favorite grandson. That's okay.
Yeah, he's got a gift of gab. Did he call you from jail and ask you to bail him out?
Well, he said he needed help getting out, but...
Did he call you?
Yes, he did, several times.
Several times. And he said, I need help getting out?
Mm-hmm. He wanted to get out.
What did you say to him?
I can't help you. I'm on a fixed income, so I can't help you.
And what did he say to you?
I know. I guess he was fishing.
How many times did he call you? Trying to see if he could get some money?
3 or 4 times, yeah.
Remember calling your grandmother?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ask her for money?
Oh, yeah.
Remember calling your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ask her for money?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Now we got it. Now you can be seated. Okay, thank you very much. See, I knew you might lie about your mother, Mr. Stephan, but I knew you wouldn't lie about your grandmother. You made some payments to your mother on this bail. How many payments did you make on the bail?
I gave her a couple $100.
Just answer my question.
I gave her a couple $100.
200.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what he gave you?
He actually paid it to the bonds company.
How much does he still owe? When you paid off the entire amount?
$1,350.
Okay, so these are my questions, Mr. Stephan. When you forged those checks with your buddy and got some cash, whatever it was, $1,500, did you buy anything for your mother?
No, ma'am.
Did you buy anything for your grandmother?
No, ma'am.
Did you give your mother any money?
No, ma'am.
Did you give your grandmother any money?
No, ma'am.
Did your mother get any enjoyment whatsoever from the proceeds of your forgery?
No.
Did she know or in any way help you forge those checks?
No.
So that when you got busted for check forgery, this was owing solely to your bad behavior, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why should anybody else suffer for your bad behavior?
They shouldn't.
Great. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,350. Thank you,
Judge.
Maria Prieto claims her son's former friend, James Alfter, started a fire in her home while trying to grow marijuana.
Ms. Prieto, you rented a house to the defendant.
That's correct.
And it is your claim that he is responsible for a fire in your home that resulted in damage. Some of the damage was covered by insurance, but a great deal of it was not covered by insurance, and you want him to pay the balance.
That's correct.
Your out-of-pocket expenses. Mr. Alfter?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the way you pronounce your name?
Yes, ma'am.
You look petrified. Are you scared of me?
No.
You should be.
Yeah, a little bit.
Mr. Alfter says that your homeowner's insurance should have covered whatever losses there were. He wasn't doing anything wrong, and it was just an accident. That's your defense.
Yes.
Your Honor, I disagree.
Just How old are you, sir?
20.
When did you move out of your home?
I've been on my own since I was about 18.
And how have you been taking care of yourself?
I work.
For whom?
Family business.
What kind of business?
Construction. I do concrete work.
Whose business is it?
It's my grandfather's.
Who else works there?
The crew, my dad, my brothers.
So it's a big business?
Yeah.
It's a lucrative business?
Yeah.
How much? Yes, try yes.
Yes.
How much do you get paid?
$30 an hour.
And you work 7 days a week, 6 days a week, 5 days a week?
40-hour weeks.
So you've got money in the bank?
I'm all right.
What?
I said I'm all right. Yes.
You have a car?
Yes.
Shape? Do you work out?
Yes.
You work out at home or in a gym?
The gym.
You have a gym membership?
Yes.
I ask you all these questions, sir, because I'm trying to find out a little bit about you. Because this complaint says, Mr. After, that the fire that started in Miss Prieto's house, on what date?
September the 12th.
On what date did he move into the house?
He moved in July 1st.
Was started because in your bedroom, right?
In the master bedroom, correct.
People usually sleep in the master bedroom, right?
Yes.
How many bedrooms were there in the house?
5.
How many people were living in the house?
Just 2.
You and who else?
Me and my roommate.
Male or female?
Male.
So that those were 2 bedrooms. You don't spend the night with your roommate, right? You each have your own bedroom, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
But I guess you didn't want you or your roommate to get the master bedrooms, because then it would be unequal, so that you each stayed in other bedrooms.
Yes.
And you were using your master bedroom to grow marijuana. You actually hadn't brought in the plants yet, according to the complaint and the answer, but it was all set up with a whole bunch of lights, right?
Yes, there's equipment.
I mean, you weren't planning on shooting a film in there, were you?
No.
You were going to grow marijuana.
Yes.
What were you going to do with it when you grew it?
Well, I have anxiety, and I was going to try to get my card, cannabis card.
You have anxiety?
Yeah.
You ain't seen nothing yet. Your parents are alive?
Yes.
Did they know you were coming here today?
Yes.
Did they know that 10 million people were going to be watching you today?
Yes.
Did they offer you any warning, sir?
Yes.
And I know that it's not relevant to the case, but I, because I am a mother, would like to know what your parents said to you.
They told me I better learn my lesson.
Both of them?
Yes.
Sounds like my kind of people. Who do you expect to pay for these damages that weren't covered by Miss Prieto's insurance as a result of your lunacy in trying to start a marijuana farm in her house?
Myself.
Right. So why didn't you just pay her, sir? Why did you force her to come here? You know, I mean, I know that she looks lovely and she appears to be a very nice lady, but why didn't you just say, I'm really sorry, I acted like an idiot, I'm 20 years old, I'm not fully grown up yet, you know, just help me out here. It'll never happen again. I'm going to cut my hair so I can see, you know, all of those things.
The sum, that amount that she wanted was pretty high. I thought the insurance would have covered it, but I was going to pay the deductible.
Yeah, but the insurance company didn't, for instance, pay for all the landscaping around the house that was singed.
But when I moved in the house, the land or the landscaping wasn't too caught up.
May not have been too caught up. What about the fact that she didn't have the use of her house for a while?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know, that's my fault.
So who should pay for that?
Myself.
Yes, ma'am. Can I see the bills, please?
Sure. And I have pictures also.
Should have listened to your parents, Mr. After. Father's a pretty tough guy?
Yeah.
Are you using your real name today, sir?
Yes.
Is your father's last name the same as yours?
Yes.
Look what you did to her house. Bird, look what he did to her house. You planned on smoking an awful lot of weed, sir, for your anxiety. Why don't you go to a therapist?
I don't know.
Well, I would try a therapist before I would start farming again. Who helped you with all this, sir?
I did it myself.
What about your roommate?
No, well, he helped a little bit.
Was he going to be your partner?
No.
What does he do for a living?
He works.
For whom?
He does construction too.
For your father?
No, no.
Your Honor, can I say something?
Please.
Okay, as far as all that equipment he purchased, and it was worth over supposedly $6,000, and he didn't have money to pay the rent. So he had money to go out there and buy all that, plus, you know, start his little lab thing. But on the other hand, he's making $30 an hour, and he could have just stepped up to the plate and said, I'm going to pay you. Even payments. I said, can you make payments? And he's like, yeah, I will. Never followed through.
He's very anxious because he's not smart. And unless he gets smarter, he's going to remain anxious.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Say sorry.
Sorry.
Not to me.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000, that's all.
Pamela Beverly is suing the mother of her daughter's schoolmate, Rhonda Mayo, for medical bills and pain and suffering. Pamela claims 12-year-old Jessica Mayo injured her daughter at school.
Miss Beverly, this case really involves your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
You weren't there when this incident happened, but it is your claim that the defendant's daughter injured your daughter. You want her to pay the medical bills.
Yes, ma'am.
But you weren't there. You don't know. Let's have the girls up and the mom seated, please. Tell me your name.
Crystal Beverly.
How old are you, Crystal?
13. Jessica Mayo, I'm 12 years old.
Okay, Crystal, why don't you tell me when this happened? What date?
I think March 27th.
Were you friends?
Yes.
How long have you been friends?
Since the first day of school.
So since September?
Yes.
And this was March, so you've been friends for a long time?
Yes, ma'am.
You like each other?
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me what happened.
We were walking down to the bus for dismissal, and when we were stopping off the sidewalk, she had booty bumped me, and I fell.
Now, what is a booty bump?
It's when you bump somebody with your butt, you go like this.
Just like that?
Yes, if she did it harder, and then that caused me to fall.
Show me.
We were down from the sidewalk. She went like that, and I fell. And then she walked over to the sign that said Crittenton, and I laid there crying. And then one of my other friends came up to school and helped me get to the bus.
It's okay.
And you had to have surgery on your kneecap?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's hear your version of what happened.
We were coming down the stairs of the school in the afternoon. We were going to the bus stop. Then I gave her a booty bump, and we were still talking and laughing and walking. Then she tripped over her own footstep.
That's not true.
So you're telling me that you gave her a booty bump?
Yes.
You went like that?
Yes.
You weren't angry with her?
No.
And you continued to talk?
Yes, we were still talking and laughing and walking.
And it was later that she fell?
Yes, and she fell over her own foot.
Would you step up, please? Miss Beverly, I want you to tell me the exact conversation you had with your daughter when she got home.
It was on March the 24th, Your Honor, and she told me that they were walking to the bus stop and Jessica booty bumped her and she fell on her knee. I thought it was just a bad sprain, so I didn't take her to the emergency room until the day after.
You have the medical report, please?
Just the medical report.
What were your unreimbursed medical expenses?
It was $1,083.
All right, Miss Mayor, why don't you stand up with your daughter?
Your Honor, may I say something else?
Yes.
The day after I came from the emergency room, before I spoke to Miss Mayo, I spoke to Jessica to see where the story's the same. Jessica told me the exact same thing. She booty bumped Crystal and she fell and hurt her knee.
Is that right?
That's not true.
Okay. You have anything you want to say to me?
Yes, ma'am. When Jessica had told me that her and Crystal were playing at the bus stop and that Crystal had fallen, I said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't know how serious it was until after Mrs. Beverly spoke with me on the phone. And she did tell me that Jessica and Crystal were playing and Crystal fell.
Well, they were. You know, there's no question in my mind that your daughter did not intend to cause injury to her friend, right?
Right.
But sometimes when you fool around, that happens. I mean, there's no issue that your daughter did not intentionally harm Miss Mayo's little girl. But they were fooling around, and she gave her a
tap. Yes, a bump.
And she fell. And she didn't fall afterwards. She's making up. She fell then. She didn't mean to hurt her. It wasn't an intentional thing. It was, as Crystal said when she first started, an accident. That's the way you described it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you lost your balance when she gave you that push.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Okay. That, Miss Mayo, suggests to me that you should be more than willing to contribute to the unreimbursed medical expenses that your daughter's fooling around caused. Because but for the fact that she gave her a nudge, she would not have tripped and fallen, and she would not have had this injury. Certainly, you are not entitled to pain and suffering, Miss Beverly, from the defendant, because I don't believe that this was an intentional act. I think that these two young girls were friends. I believe that in all probability, your daughter has done this booty bumping ever to other people?
Yes, ma'am.
Fortunately, nobody got hurt. Do you understand, Miss Beverly?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,083. Thank you.
Tanya Blishak is suing her former co-worker, Julianne Rouse, for startup money to sell Mary Kay Cosmetics.
Miss Blishak, according to what I've read in your complaint, you and the defendant worked together in a hair salon period of time, and in addition to your regular work, you were making some money on the side selling Mary Kay Cosmetics. You tried to get Miss Rouse to become a representative for Mary Kay and claimed that you sold her a quantity of product. You put it on your credit card because she asked you to, with the understanding that she would pay the credit card bill. She paid some, but not all, and you want the balance. Ms. Rouse says that you sort of pressured her into becoming a representative. She paid you back a total so far of $1,400 for the product that was purchased, according to her, without her consent. She stopped selling the product. She still has 6 boxes of it at home that you're welcome to have because she says she's paid enough.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I sold it for about a month.
That's a fib that you just told me, because you told me a moment ago that after a month, so that means that you were at least selling the product for 2 months.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tanya Blishak says former co-worker Julianne Rouse owes for a loan to buy Mary Kay Cosmetics. Julianne says the makeup was forced on her.
When did you start to sell Mary Kay Cosmetics?
September of 2001.
And what percentage do you get of what, for instance, Miss Rouse would purchase from Mary Kay?
At the time, I did get 13% on her order, but I would like to state...
Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, I just want to say that I explained to her completely and full detail that she does not have to order any inventory whatsoever. It is for her benefit to have inventory if she wants it, so that she can give it to her customers when they buy it from her. That's completely her option. She doesn't have to do it, and she chose to do one of the big ones.
When did she purchase this product?
In April of '04.
And how much did she purchase?
She purchased a $2,400 order.
Now, tell me under what circumstances you financed her order of $2,400.
It was with my credit card.
Why?
She had been a customer as well before, and I had no problems with her financially. She paid her orders. There was no problems. And she wanted to get started with a business. She said she didn't have a credit card and you can't pay cash. And she wanted to do it, and I told her that I would help her out. She was going to pay me back the next month, and we were going to be done with this.
From where was she supposed to get $2,400?
I don't know.
Who do you live with?
My husband.
Have any children?
Yes.
How many?
1.
How old?
7 months.
And you were working full-time?
No, ma'am.
Part-time?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
I wasn't working for a while. I was going to school, and then I went back to work part-time at the salon. And at that time, my fiance at the time were living with roommates. We didn't have our own place.
So when you purchased this stuff, Miss Rouse, it was your intention to make this a part-time job?
Well, I was working part-time at the salon, and then I left there right about the same time this all happened to work full-time at a travel agency.
So was it your intention to work part-time selling Mary Kay Cosmetics?
At that time, yes.
Who selected the product that was purchased?
Miss Blishak did.
Without your input?
I didn't input. She did it online, and she ordered the things that she thought I needed at the time. And then about 5 weeks later, I needed different products. So I had to place another order on my own to get the products that I needed for my clients.
So you were, in fact, working?
For a little bit, yes.
So why didn't you finish paying her for the product?
And in the beginning, I did not want to sell the Mary Kay. She kept asking me to join. I thought if I joined it, it would be over and done with after the $115. So then after this, I decided that I would try it out.
Well, that's what she's talking about.
And she told me when she did this that I would be able to pay her back in a month because you would make so much money selling these products within the first month, as she did. At the time, I couldn't do that. I was working full-time.
Well, that happened later. Miss Rouse.
Within the same week,
Miss
it happened,
Rouse,
ma'am.
listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
There's something about buyer's remorse, which means that at the time you thought it was a good idea, and all of a sudden it didn't look so good after it was done, as opposed to someone who fraudulently sells you something. I'm not getting the sense that Miss Blishank sold you anything fraudulently, especially since you ordered more product a month later. And you paid her $1,400. She paid you $1,400? When did you stop paying her?
August was the last payment I gave her.
And you were paying her prior to that time because you were selling product?
I sold it for about a month.
Or more? Because that's a fib that you just told me, Miss Rouse. Because you told me a moment ago that after a month you ordered more product to sell to your customer. So that means that you were at least selling the product for 2 months.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Sounds to me, Miss Rouse, as a case of you didn't plan on getting pregnant, you planned on working full-time, you planned on selling this part-time. It all didn't work out because you left a part-time job, went to a full-time job, then you got pregnant, then you stopped working. Are you working now?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. You better start selling some Mary Kay cosmetics because you owe her some money. How much does she owe you with interest on your credit card?
$1848.02.
Can I see that, please? Why does she owe you $1848? What kind of interest they charge you on your credit card?
It was 12.9.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay, good. You have 6 boxes of product left?
Yes, ma'am. I have a list of everything I have.
Good. You better start selling it, Miss Rouse. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,848. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Mamie Carter says her son's former friend, Michael Powell, damaged her home while she was on vacation. Mamie claims Michael threw parties the entire time she was gone.
Miss Carter, you hired the defendant to sit while you and your son went on a vacation. And according to your complaint, you came back and found your house trashed, some alcohol missing, and the place generally a disaster. How old are you, Mr. Powell?
I am 27 years old currently.
And what do you do for a living, sir?
Currently, I'm a waiter, and
what were you doing when you were engaged by Miss Carter?
Full-time college student, Your Honor.
Full-time college student at age 27?
I'm on the 10-year plan.
Where were you living?
I was living...
Why are you gazing up at the stars?
I'm sorry.
These are not hard questions, Mr.
I'm sorry,
Powell.
Your Honor.
These are not hard questions, sir.
I'm sorry. I live
Where
in
were you living at the time that you were retained by Miss Carter and you were a full-time college student on the 10-year plan?
I live in a duplex near downtown San Antonio.
With whom?
With a roommate of mine.
And who supports you? It's not an answer.
The state.
How does the state support you?
Student loans, Your Honor.
You've been getting 10 years worth of student loans?
No. That's why I've been in it for so long, because I've been working as well as going to school at certain points in time. So that's why I'm 27 and still in college.
How many credits do you have? So you don't mind if I go through this with him, do you? This is fascinating. I'm going to have a good time. You know. Sometimes the job demands you have a good time. Sometimes.
I'm a little bit indecisive, Your Honor, so I've changed my major quite a few times. So probably I've accrued close to 160 hours in school.
What do you want to be when you grow up, Mr. Powell? Where does your family live, Mr. Powell?
They live in San Antonio, Texas.
Is that where you come from?
Yes, born and raised.
Are you friendly with your parents?
Yes, very much so.
Did they give you money?
When times are rough, yes.
Well, if you're 27 years old and unemployed, sir, couldn't get rougher than that.
I'm a waiter, Your Honor. I'm a waiter.
Full-time waiter or a part-time waiter? I'm going to find out where you're a full-time waiter, if you are a full-time waiter.
No, I'm not a full-time waiter, Your Honor.
All right, so a part-time waiter
30
doesn't support a duplex, Mr. Powell.
It's cheap rent.
Didn't think that this would happen to you, did you? All right, enough. Miss Carter, which one of these two gentlemen is your son?
He is the one in the...
That one, in the suit?
In the suit.
And they were friends?
Yes, they were friends since 1997.
All right. Stand up for a second. Your name?
Curtis Carter?
Curtis, where do you live? With your mother?
No, I have my own residence in San Antonio.
Perfect. Who supports the residence?
I do.
What do you do for a living?
I'm an investment broker.
Very nice. Did you buy that suit all by yourself?
She helped me out.
Who paid for it?
Gosh, my mother did.
Oy. What?
Gosh.
Ouch! Gosh! I love it. Do you make a living?
Yes.
Okay. And you've known Mr. Powell for about 10 years?
Approximately.
Where do you know him from?
We went to high school together, and we have all kinds of friends in common.
You know he's a little flaky.
Well, he hasn't always been.
He is now. Did you recommend Mr. Powell to your mother as a house sitter?
I did.
But we had previously hired him, Your Honor, on a previous occasion, and we got along without difficulty.
How many days did he house sit on the previous occasion?
Maybe a week.
And he lived at your house?
That's correct.
How long ago?
4 years ago.
And 4 years ago, Miss Carter, was he a college student?
Yes, he was.
4 years later, he's still a college student.
That's right.
You should have said to yourself, something's not right there. Now, you hired him when, the second time?
I hired him February 24th of this year.
How long were you going to be away?
We went away from March 1 through the 24th of this year.
And how many animals do you...
1 dog and 1 tropical fish.
Okay. And he was to take care of the dog, the fish, the house.
That's right.
Okay. When you came home on the 24th, did you take photos of the house?
We took photos of the damage the next day or so.
I'd like to see the photos. Are you an otherwise neat person?
Not particularly.
Now, where was this brick wall?
The brick wall is outside my kitchen. Somehow, it was knocked into the driveway. A 4-foot section of it was knocked in.
Your Honor,
okay.
It wasn't a 4-foot section. It was maybe more like 2 to 2.5 feet. It was about 15. I know because I bought the bricks. There was...
I want you to tell me, Mr. Powell, how the brick wall fell down.
All I can really tell you is I believe it was because she lives in Almas Park, which is also a basin. It floods there a lot.
Just a second. Did it flood the 3 weeks that she was gone?
No, Your Honor.
And we are not in the floodplain.
You have to give him a chance, Miss Carter. Don't interrupt him.
Either way,
Were you leaning against it?
I was leaning against it, indeed.
You were leaning against it when it fell over?
When it started to tremor, and then, boom, fell down about close to 15 feet into the driveway.
But I also have leave against it.
I told you, don't interrupt him. So you were leaning against the brick wall, and it fell over into the driveway?
Indeed.
And you tried to fix it?
Indeed. Indeed, I did.
Did you fix it?
To the best of my ability, I had my friend over here, Jason, and his brother-in-law, who does construction and mason work.
27 years.
Helped to put the brick wall back together again. And I even planted flowers in the flower pots because I felt bad about the whole situation.
On what date, Mr. Powell, did the brick wall fall down?
Well, I'm basing this on the plaintiff's statement. She said I don't want you. Well,
the plaintiff is in Africa, on the plains.
Okay.
You are on her brick wall.
Okay.
So you tell me what date. Let's go back a second,
Okay.
Mr. Powell. You're 27 years old.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're a 10-year veteran of college.
Yes, Your Honor.
How many brick walls in your life have fallen down when you were leaning against them?
None since that one, Your Honor.
Before this one? Any before?
No.
So that would be an event that you would remember. Now,
Indeed.
on what date did the brick wall fall down?
February the 27th.
That would be before she left.
Oh, I thought she said she left the February the 25th. See, this is the problem here, Your Honor. It's been so long since the whole incident has occurred. I really don't, dates are kind of a problem for me to recollect at the time.
Life is a problem for you, Mr. Powell. Now, when did you have the first social gathering at her house?
Well, I had a few social gatherings. They were spread out, you know. She said I could have a few people over, several people over. She said there wasn't a problem with that, so I did have friends over.
That's not true.
Don't do it again. Otherwise, I'll say goodbye to you. And you don't want that to happen.
No, I don't.
How many times did you have social gatherings in the 3 weeks that you were house sitting?
3 weeks I was house sitting, probably 6, 7 times.
And give me a range of number of people that you had at the house when you had these social gatherings.
The most at one time would be 5, including myself.
Were you always inside, or did you go outside?
We went outside.
When you went outside, what did you do outside?
Smoke cigarettes.
How many bottles of Miss Carter's alcohol did you consume?
I believe her statement was 2 bottles of wine.
If you don't know, say, I don't know, I don't remember, or I drank 2 bottles.
2 bottles of wine. And a little bit of Chivas Regal that she had there Not the whole bottle,
Now,
which she claims.
the alcohol was in the bar?
It's actually in the kitchen. It's in a little drawer.
A bottle of Chivas Regal doesn't fit in a little drawer.
Well, there's plenty of cabinets in her kitchen.
So it's in a cabinet, not a little drawer.
A cabinet.
Did she have food in her refrigerator?
She had a little bit of food in her refrigerator. She also had a pantry that was well stocked with soups and the like.
Did you partake?
Yes, because that was part of the plan. She offered to let me eat and drink, so I did. I didn't have a lot of money at the
Were
time.
you supposed to get paid for watching the house?
Yes. I believe the agreement was $10 a day for 25 days, and I was supposed to receive $250. Which I never received. I mean, she wouldn't answer back my phone calls after the first day, so I had to get an attorney because through my circle of friends...
You got an attorney?
Yeah, because I heard, well...
You hired an attorney?
Yes, because we share, Kurt and I share, her son share the same friends. And so you hear a lot of rumors and hearsay, and I was hearing she was bringing detectives into the house and doing all this, meticulous research, and I felt like my best bet would be to get an attorney.
How much did you pay the attorney?
$150 to send her a letter.
What you're telling me, sir, is you paid an attorney $150 to get you $250.
Also, just to communicate, because she was not, at that point in time, was not communicating with me. So I could not...
Just answer my question. You paid an attorney $150 to send her a letter to get your pay of $250.
Also to say that if there's any kind of damage as far as the brick wall is concerned, if it was a problem, me drinking the bottles of wine, no big deal. Take it out of the $250. But then when I serve the papers, I see this long list of these,
How did the banister, this wooden banister,
which was
get broken?
when I got there.
Shh. The wooden banister was broken when you got there?
Yes.
Split in two?
It was split in two.
Is that right?
Yes, it was split in two, but it was not split in two prior to my leaving on the trip.
No, just a second. That's what I'm saying to you. Was the banister split in two when he came?
Yes.
Was the banister broken before he came to house sit?
No.
Well, you have to listen to my question. When you came home, how did you find your pets?
My dog was in good condition.
Good. Well, at least he did something right. What about the fish?
The fish was still living.
Also, a blessing.
Yes, I agree.
Good. Now, there was a painting that you talk about, that you have a picture of, that had a hole in it. Tell me about the painting.
This painting is of a relative of mine.
It's a great painting, by the way.
Thank you. It's a village blacksmith. It's a family heirloom.
Tell me about the damage to the painting.
It is museum quality, and I discovered that it has a puncture and a rip or a tear in it, and the heavy gold relief frame had been broken off and damaged in it.
Was it hanging on the wall when you came home?
Yes.
But hanging on the wall damaged?
Yes.
Had it been damaged before Mr. Powell started to babysit for your house?
Not at all.
Nice suit.
Thank you.
Could you step up, sir? What is your name?
Barton Simpson.
Mr. Simpson, you're a neighbor of the Carters?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what happened in the household while Mrs. Carter and her son were in Africa.
The first thing I noticed was the defendant's red car, because Miss Carter's car was gone, and it had the writing of a wax on it that would be indicative of the police impound lot in San Antonio. As time went by, the flowers started dying on the terrace and trash started piling up on the terrace. And then as more time went on, I started seeing Miss Carter's treasured dog running around the neighborhood. So I started making an effort to catch the dog and bring it back to the backyard. On the third occasion...
You mean the third occasion that the dog was...
The third occasion that the dog was running around the neighborhood, I took the dog home to find that the terrace door was wide open.
Okay. Did you go inside?
I looked in the door, I knocked on the door, I yelled for somebody inside. When I looked in the door, I noticed the back door was also wide open. So I walked in the house to release the dog into the house. I walked in to close the back door. The first thing I noticed was it looked like there had been an ongoing fraternity party in the house. There were electric guitars up on the couch, the tables were covered with booze, the ashtrays were overflowing with cigarettes and what looked like to me the burnt ends of reefer cigarettes in the ashtrays. It looked like there had been an ongoing mosh pit fraternity party, and there was a cat in the house and dog feces on the floor.
Thank you, sir.
He came by once to tell me that the dog was wandering around the neighborhood, and I didn't know who he was because I had never met him.
Mr. Powell, let me tell you that Mr. Simpson just related to me something that I believe, that he went into the house when you were not at home to return the dog to the house. You were not there. He described the inside of the house. That's all I want you to address, sir.
The inside of the house.
Yes. And I want you to bear in mind that I believe him.
Okay, I understand that. Well, when he came over to the house, if he saw beer cans, there were probably some beer cans. But that doesn't mean I drank her liquor or drank all this wine. I mean, there wasn't wine bottles. There was just empty beer cans, which I picked up, threw away, And
what about the dog feces that were there? Did you clean up?
That I cannot, no. There were no dog feces. This
no.
dog
I want
is
you to bear in
14
mind.
years old, Your
I
Honor.
want you to bear in mind that I believe
him. Okay.
So if you didn't clean it up, it was there when she arrived home.
No, Your Honor. It was not there.
Well, then somebody cleaned it up.
I cleaned it up. If anything happened...
Oh, just a second. Well, you just said you didn't.
I was saying that I didn't his testimony is I don't agree with his testimony, even though you do.
Listen to me. I don't care whether you do or not.
The dog's 14 years old.
I'm telling you that I believe him. So if the dog messed in the house and you didn't clean it up, which is what you said at first, that means that she found it when she came home, unless you had Cinderella come and take care of the house at some point.
Your Honor, I took grounds to try to repair her brick wall. I tried to do as much cleaning as I could with the time that I had. Like she says, she's not exactly the most cleanest person in the first place. The house is very messy to begin with.
Who smokes? Do you?
I smoke cigarettes, yes I do.
Do you, Miss Carter?
No, Your Honor.
Who else lives in the house with you?
No one.
Cigarette ashtrays were brought from outside into the inside.
Oh,
that's why.
So unusual. People usually do just the opposite. Maybe when you graduate, you'll start doing it the other way. Most people take cigarettes and take them outside. So what you're telling me is you and your friends had cigarette smoke outside and all the dirty, disgusting cigarette butts, when you were finished smoking outside so you shouldn't smell the house, you brought them back inside.
They were cleaned and gathered in a pile, Your Honor.
Not just, you mean the cigarette butts were cleaned and gathered in a pile?
Let's call it an organized mess. Put everything together, throw it away, put it into the trash can, and take it out.
But it hadn't been thrown away, sir, because he came and he found it there.
At that particular date.
All right, I had enough. Miss Carter, listen to me. How much did it cost you to fix the painting?
About $1,000.
No, show me the bill. Come on, see the bill. I finished torturing Mr. Powell. Finished torturing him. You big slob, Mr. Powell. You took advantage of the situation. Make parties in your own condo. Don't make parties in somebody else's house. It's outrageous to treat somebody else's house with such disrespect. 27 years old. Your parents should be very proud of you. Very, very proud of you.
No
You're on the I'm speaking. You're on a 10-year plan. You'll never grow up. As long as somebody else is footing the bill, you're going to continue to be a big baby. How much did it cost you to clean up the house and to do any of the brickwork on the house?
The brickwork cost $1,285.
Clean up on the house.
I had a maid service for $40.
All right. How much did it cost you to fix the banister?
$135.
All right, it's $3,460. You better start waiting on a lot more tables and working a lot more than 30 hours a week. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, Your Honor.
Goodbye.
22-year-old Brittany Bugbee is suing her ex-roommate, 21-year-old Amanda Lauderdale, for rent, damages to the apartment, and for painting her room purple.
Miss Bugbee, the defendant, who was a friend of yours, moved into your home when you had a fight with your boyfriend, according to her, and he moved out. You needed someone to help you with the rent.
Yes.
She agreed to pay rent, and it is your claim that she left owing you money for rent, and she or her boyfriend caused some damage to the house. You want her to pay for the damage to the house, and you want her to pay the rent that she owes you.
Yes, that's
Ms.
correct.
Lauderdale says that she paid you rent for each and every month that she was living with you, that she caused no damage to your house, and that I think that there's a room color that you don't like. What's the room color that you painted your room?
Oh, purple.
Purple. And that the landlord doesn't like the purple, you're going to have to repaint that, and you want her to pay for that.
Yes.
How long did you live with her?
From August, and I moved out November 1st.
August what?
I don't remember the exact
August
date.
what?
August 2nd.
And you moved out November 1st?
Yeah, that's not right.
When did she move out?
She moved out November 5th. That's not right. That's when you noticed.
Just a second. How much rent were you supposed to pay?
$650 a month.
Did you pay $650 in August?
Yes.
Is that correct?
No, and I have proof.
I
have
see
a
the proof.
bank statement here showing the check that Amanda gave to me, which was only $600.
Can I see it?
Yes. I don't believe I ever gave you a check. It was from your mother. It's towards the back. It's a check that her mother wrote to me for her rent.
For $600?
For $600. She said she'd give me the $50 later when she got paid, but she never did.
Okay. So that's $50 for August. What about September?
Actually, if you look through there, it'll show every month that I paid my rent for a $1,300 check, but it never shows any deposits of $650.
That's not what I asked you. I said, did she pay?
No,
did you pay September's
Yes.
rent? Show me.
I always paid her in cash. I gave all my cash to Brittany. Never asked for any receipts because at the time she was a very good friend and I didn't think we would end up here.
Where were you working in September?
I was working at Nordstrom.
You work full-time at Nordstrom?
Not anymore.
So what do you do?
Right now I am planning on going to school. Right now I'm not doing anything.
So you don't do anything? When did you stop doing something?
I believe it was early November, probably a week after I moved out of Brittany's house.
Okay. So when she didn't give you any money, according to you, in September, what did you say to her?
She said that she hadn't got paid yet and that she was going through some financial problems. She was
With
my
what?
best friend. She owed money still to some electric companies and some gas companies from living in an apartment previously, and she still owes money to them as far as I still know.
What about October? She give you any money in October?
She tried to give me a check. It was a third-party check from her Nordstrom's. And I deposited it into my account to me, and I asked Amanda if she would cash it and give the money to me, but she never did.
Why did they return it?
In order to do a third-party check, she signed the check over to me, and I put it into an ATM, but I guess you're supposed to take it into the bank and show your IDs. You can't do it through an ATM.
So why didn't you do that?
Amanda said she was just going to go get it cashed.
I wouldn't have given the check back to her.
Well, I couldn't do anything with it.
Sure you could. You go into the bank with it.
Mm-hmm. And
You go into the, you just said to me that your bank told you you have to take the money, go into the bank. So instead of giving it back to her, if she owed you for 2 months' rent, I would have gone into the bank. I would have made that little extra trip.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I guess I'm right. Now, she gave you rent for October, but you couldn't cash the check. She took the check and didn't give you any cash.
Correct.
And you didn't say anything to her.
I asked her for the money, and she told me that she would be giving me the money for October and November on the 7th when she got paid. And that was the last I heard from her. Not true. Not true.
Why did you get into difficulty with your prior bills?
Because at the time I was living with a boyfriend, and I was the only one working, and I could no longer support both of us. So I moved out.
And when you moved out, the utilities were in your name?
Mm-hmm.
So how much do you owe them?
I never received any of the bills after I moved out. I have no idea how much I owe.
All you have to do is make a phone call.
You're right.
I know. I believe her when she says that you didn't pay her rent. I believe her.
Okay.
Now, why did you decide to leave?
Because she had told me that she was using cocaine, and that's why she had a miscarriage. And I just felt like her lifestyle was making me feel very uncomfortable. She was bringing home strange guys in the house all of the time, crying to me about all this stuff, and I couldn't take it anymore. I talked to my mom about it, and my mom said that it'd be a better choice for me to live with my mom instead of Brittany. That's not true. I don't do drugs whatsoever. I don't bring strange men home, and that's so false. I don't know how else to put that.
Who are you?
I'm Wilson, her boyfriend, Amanda's.
Current boyfriend, not the one that she moved out on?
Current, yes.
Are you the one who broke the door?
No. I was there for the party when the door got broken. It was a Halloween
Oh, well, I
party.
want to hear about that. Stand up. How'd you hurt your foot?
Slipped off some stairs.
Where were you?
At a friend's house.
Party?
No. Just hanging out at his house. Had a couple stairs in the front of his walkway and just slipped down one of them. Twisted the ankle real bad.
You can take the crutch with you if you like.
No, I can stand it.
Great. You get no sympathy from me for doing that. You understand?
Don't ask for it.
Okay, tell me about this party when the door got broken.
Halloween party, obviously. I was at work until about 1 o'clock in the morning. Got there about 1 o'clock, and it was kind of out of control. There was a dancing area, and by the door that got broken, someone opened up the door really fast. It had little glass sections in the door. Somebody swung it open and smacked, the window broke. Brittany was trashed out of her mind. She had no idea what was going on, and that's what happened.
Now
I
I'll
saw
hear your
everything.
story.
All right, we were having a Halloween party, and a bunch of our friends were there, both of our friends. And shortly after Wilson showed up, one of his friends slammed the door open, and I was upset, and I said, Amanda, Wilson, make sure you get his phone number. And Wilson and Amanda both said, don't worry about it. It's Wilson's friend. We'll take care of it. They never did, and so now I'm suing for the amount.
Not suing them.
Well, Amanda said that she would make sure that it was taken care of.
Well, listen, you can't rely on that. Amanda hadn't paid you rent in 2 months, according to you. How could you rely on her saying, I'll take care of it?
It's true, yeah.
I don't believe you. Let's talk about the purple bedroom. Did you let us paint the bedroom purple?
Yes, I did.
Well, then you deal with it.
It's very dark. It's going to take 2 base coats to cover.
And I would start,
she did
Miss
a horrible
Bugby,
job.
I'd start. Okay, Miss Lauderdale, you owe her $1,300 in rent and another $50 from the first month. And the next time, if you pay somebody rent, you pay them by check and get a receipt. Just like you did the first month that you were living there, paid by check. Do you understand? Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,350. That's all.
After she kicked and damaged his car during an argument.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Now, this is case number 274 on the calendar in the matter of Asada versus Dacey. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have a seat.
Well, I have really 2 complaints here. One is your complaint, sir, against her. You're suing her because you say she purposely kicked your car, causing damage to it.
Yes.
And I have your complaint against him for several $1,000s. I think you're suing for $3,000 because you say he assaulted you.
Yes.
From what I gather from these papers, you 2 children have a child.
Yes.
And how old is this child?
She's 16 months.
How old are you?
23.
And how old were you when you had this baby?
Oh, it was right after my 16th birthday.
Were you
Or
living
right
at home?
after my 17th birthday. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Were you living at home then?
I was living with him, and then like about 2 weeks before I had the baby, I was getting no support from him, so I moved back in with my mom to get some support. Then right after I had the baby, then I moved back in with him.
You live at home?
Yes, I moved back there about 4 months ago.
So you live with your mother?
Yes.
And father?
No.
Just with your mother?
Yes.
Actually, I took responsibility for her for 3 years when her mother didn't want responsibility of her anymore, gave up custody of her, and I basically took her in for 3 years. When she was 9 months pregnant, her mother said that she didn't want her to move back home. She said that there was shelters out there that would take care of a teenage mother.
What'd you have problems with your mom about?
Just normal, rebellious. I wanted to go out. She wanted me.
You have a
not
drug
go out.
problem?
No.
Never?
No.
You hesitated for a minute.
I have done, yes, I have done drugs before in the past.
Know that. And you, sir?
Drug problem? No.
Yeah. Have you done any drugs?
No.
Was she doing drugs when she was living with you?
Yes, she was smoking marijuana.
Mm-hmm. What about when she was pregnant?
I don't believe so. Not that I can remember.
What
no.
about after the baby was born?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, you separated, and then this incident occurred with your car. You want to tell me your version of it, sir?
Well, I was going to pick up a friend which lives close by to where she lives. And on the way back, we happened to see her walking with my daughter. So I stopped to, see my daughter. And
What time was this, sir?
It was about 9:45 p.m. She lives in a kind of a bad neighborhood. I was concerned for the welfare of my child. She said that she never walks the baby at that time, but obviously she does. When she came over to us, she asked us where we were going. I said we were going to go out. And she spit on us. She spit on me and him through my car window.
Let's take this step by step. And I want you to understand something. I'm very, very smart.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they keep me here. Not because I'm gorgeous. Right, Bird?
Well, that's a good enough reason, Judge.
I stopped my car. She came over to where my car was. I opened the door to the car, got out, saw my daughter
What did you say to her?
I said, what are you doing with the baby out at this time at night?
And what? Okay, so right away we got a problem. You're saying to her, what are you doing outside with the baby? And what did she say to you?
She said that she was going to call me at a payphone across the street.
That was her answer?
Mm-hmm.
So far, is that correct?
No.
No. So then what happened?
So then after I, said goodbye to my daughter, I tried to leave. I got into my car. She put the baby stroller in front of my car door so I could not shut it. So I calmly got out and, moved the stroller away, shut my door. She said, where are you going? Going out. She spit on us. And then when I was pulling out, she started kicking my car.
What kind of car was this?
It's a Chevy Cavalier.
Okay, and I assume you have pictures to show me.
Yes.
Could I see them, please?
I also have an estimate.
I'll see that too. Okay. Now let's hear your version of the events and what you say happened on that evening.
Okay, normally I don't take my daughter out that late, but she was still up. I was going to get a treat for us from the store, about 200 feet from my apartment door to the Circle K across the street, okay? Walked to the store, got my things, was halfway across the street from the store and my apartment complex when I see him drive by. He makes a U-turn, turns into my apartment complex, and gets out and says, what are you doing with my daughter out this late, blah, blah, blah. Just starts totally harassing me. Yeah, I said, I'm not doing this in front of my daughter. So I start walking away. That's when he grabs me by my hair. I didn't know he was coming, because it was all quiet. He just grabs me by my hair and proceeds to just grab me by my arm, like kind of drag me on the ground. I skinned my knee. Then I got up, started to leave again. He kicks me in the stomach. I lose my way, I gather myself up, and then by then I grab the stroller, start running for my apartment. I yell back, I am calling the police, you're not getting away with this one. He yells, I have 2 witnesses that say I didn't touch you. Okay, the whole time this was happening, this guy over here sitting in the chair, he was laughing. He sees a girl getting beat up, he's laughing, okay?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm telling you, the only one that I feel sorry for in this situation is this 18-month-old baby who happens to have 2 morons for parents.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Scott Azada is suing the mother of his child, 18-year-old Karen Dacey, claiming she kicked and damaged his car during an argument. Karen says Scott is abusive towards her and denies kicking his car.
So did you go up and call the police?
Yes, my mom was just going to bed, whatever. She said, Karen, I really don't want to deal with this tonight. So she asked me to make the phone call from across the street at the Circle K. I have a police report. They came out and...
You mean your mother told you, don't call from my house, go across the street? Is that what your mother told you? I'm asking you a question. Your mother told you, don't call from the house.
She didn't say don't. I could. She didn't... I told her I was going to call across the street. No, she didn't say. She was just saying, why do we have to deal with this? Why does this always have to happen? Blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, I was mad. I was like, just forget about it. I'll just call from across the street. I just don't want to bring her into any more. I've had so many problems with him. Everybody has to witness it around me. That's why she's here. I lost my job because she didn't want to witness this anymore. Yes.
Step up. Tell me your name.
Teresa Garner.
You said she was your nanny for a while. Do you mean she was your babysitter?
She was a babysitter. I have 3 children. I met Karen through Scott. He used to work at the mall that we have a plant rental and maintenance company, and we did the plants. I met Scott there. After Michelle was born, she didn't want to go back to work at Panda Express, a little fast food place, so I gave her a job where she could have the baby there.
Where she could have the baby at your place of business?
Right, where she was taking care of my kid, she could have the baby. Several times, Your Honor, she's come over crying. I took the baby away from these two in one incident because they're fighting all the time in front of my house. I told him neither one of them could have the baby when they're acting like that. He had her outside, was trying to push her in the car, same thing, pulling her hair, calling her names. The verbal abuse went on forever. Little codes on her beeper, 187, which I guess is murder or something, and all this other kind of junk.
Have you ever seen him put his hands on her?
Yes, I have.
Sit down.
Thank you.
May I say something?
Absolutely. Step up here. Tell me your name.
Kevin Meimersdorf. When this occurred that night, also when she was all trying to get him away from the car to tell him, like wanting to talk to him privately, and he was like, "No, I got these witnesses. You can say whatever you have to say right here by the car."
You think that that's helpful to him?
Well,
what you just told me?
Well, yeah. I'd like
to say You think that that's helpful?
Yeah.
I got a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
Where were you going?
We're going to my brother's house to pick him up.
And where does he live?
He lives on Chop and Boulder.
And how far is that from where the defendant lives?
I'd say maybe a quarter mile, if that.
Mm-hmm. And is there another way of getting there other than passing by the front of her apartment complex?
There is. Yes, there is. Yes,
Good.
there is.
So you could have gone a different route.
Right.
Who was driving?
He was.
So yet he chose to drive by her apartment complex. Right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And when he got out of the car, the first thing he said to her is, "What are you doing outside at 9:15 with the baby?"
Right.
But he didn't say it in that kind of tone, did he?
No.
No.
I mean, well, he just exactly the tone what you just said. What are you
think
doing?
so? Is that what you remember, sir? Is that as true as everything else
Yes,
that you're going
ma'am.
to tell me today?
Yes,
That in a very calm tone, he said to her, "Why are you out with the baby at 9:15?" Is that the tone?
Well, it might have been a little bit, a little bit more higher than that. I mean, definitely. I mean, not at a soft tone, but I mean, he's like, "What are you doing at this late at night?" Basically, at 9:30 at night, in this neighborhood.
And when he said that to her, sir, was there any profanity dotting his words? Like, did he say, "What the blank are you doing blank out at this blank hour"? Does that sound, ring a bell?
No, ma'am.
So far, I'm not getting the ring of truth from you, sir.
You're getting everything, all the truth.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Because it does, I mean, I'm not saying she's terrific.
Right.
Because I'm telling you, she's not terrific.
Right.
Right? And I'm telling you, the only one that I feel sorry for in this situation is this 18-month-old baby, who happens to have two morons for parents, right? Her, because she doesn't know whether she's here or there or where she's going to be or what she's going to do or anything else. She's a baby. And you, who enjoy a reasonable order of visitation from 2 in the afternoon till 8 o'clock at night, 4 days a week.
I haven't been able to enjoy it because I haven't been getting my visitation.
Well, then you go to court, sir, and you deal with it.
I am. I'm in the process of doing that.
Then that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to go around where she's living and confront her.
Oh, but that was not my main priority to go over there.
I didn't ask you whether it was your main priority. It shouldn't have been any priority. What you do is, if you've had periods of domestic violence and negative interaction with her, you stay away from her.
I've never, but she comes to my work also and harasses me there.
Just a second. I don't doubt that she does that.
And calls my house and comes by my house.
Listen to me. I don't doubt that she does that. Because I think she's a flake. I do.
She is.
I believe she's a flake. This lady knows she's a flake, right?
Young.
Young.
Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Flaky, young, too young to have an to be responsible for an 18-month-old baby.
I agree.
There's no question about that. There is also no question in my mind, sir, that this evening wasn't as you have indicated to me, that you were just driving by to go pick up a friend and all of a sudden you saw her. You went by her apartment complex and it was the wrong thing to do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you've taken drugs in the last 6 to 9 months, the hair follicle test will establish it. And if you wish to go, we will make arrangements for you to go immediately.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Scott Azata claims the mother of his child, Karen Dacey, kicked his car. Karen says she has a restraining order because Scott is abusive.
Mr. Rizzuto, You play with fire, you're going to get burned. You screw around with a teenager and make a baby with her, and that doesn't mean that your life's going to be easy. It's going to be harder. You have a child, and if you think that she's incapable of taking care of this child, and you may be right, and you may be a more appropriate custodial parent, the way to deal with it is through the court, not in the street at 9:45.
I feel, you know, I'm concerned about the welfare of my daughter. That is the main
Then,
priority
sir, you have to deal with that through the courts.
I've been dealing with it for 5 months, and I haven't got one bit of satisfaction. I haven't even got a court date yet.
The court system didn't make your baby. Yeah. Judge didn't get in there that night. That's right. You did. And you were old enough to have known better.
Yes.
You were, in the eyes of the law, an adult. She was a minor in the eyes of the law. So, when you went to the police, did they arrest him?
No, he was long gone.
And you, sir, did you make a police report?
No, I kind of just went home because I didn't want to deal with her anymore.
Did you ever pull her hair?
No.
Never?
No.
You mean she's lying when she says she saw you pull her hair?
She's also lying about her taking my child. She's never, I don't even trust her with my child over there because she smokes just as much dope as she does.
Can I say something in my defense? No,
I don't think she's capable of taking care of her own kids.
It's not necessary. It's not necessary. Well, I think that you two young people better decide that you're going to straighten up your lives because you made a baby, and the baby is the only innocent in this situation.
This is a picture of what looks exactly like a cigarette burn, or.
And I've also.
Shh. Would you let her finish?
On my daughter, when she came home from visiting with him, I changed her diaper into her pajamas right away, and I noticed this. He smokes, his whole family smokes, okay? And about the drugs and smoking, whatever, I have not even done any drugs since I've been with him. And the
Madam,
reason why
let me tell you something. A, he never burned your baby with a cigarette. Never happened. You could have a picture there, you could have 20 pictures there. I'm telling you, I've been in this business for 1/4 century. This man never purposefully injured that child, nor did he permit anybody else to purposefully injure that child. Now, he may have done lots of negative things to you, but he never purposely hurt his daughter. So you may be able to convince some other family court judge or some other moron that he did with the picture that you're going to show him. But I'm telling you, he never purposely hurt your daughter.
How would you know that?
How would I know it? Because I'm very smart. And I'm smarter than you'll be if you live to be 500. And I'm also prepared to tell you that you do smoke dope, and you have smoked dope more recently than from the time you first met him. And if I sent you today to have a hair follicle test, I guarantee you that that hair follicle test would bear me out. And if you are willing to go, we will make the arrangements for you to go for a hair follicle test, because the hair follicle test will establish when the last time, if you've smoked drugs or taken drugs in the last 6 to 9 months, the hair follicle test will establish it. And if you wish to go, we will make arrangements for you to go immediately.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Would you like me to make the arrangements right now, and I can have a hair follicle test done right now?
All I have to say to that is, not unless he's getting one. This guy has done more than marijuana.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
Why am I going to show something it was less than 6 months ago, because me and him only broke up 3.5 months ago. Why am I going to show what is wrong with me or whatever if this guy's sitting here, oh, I don't do drugs. This guy is the king of selling drugs, doing drugs, whatever.
Listen to me.
So why do we care about what I'm doing?
Why? There's a very easy answer to that question, madam. Because right now you are the primary custodial...
What I've done.
Hey! Right now you are the primary custodial parent of an 18-month-old child. That's why it's more important. And so I asked you a simple question. I said, do you want me to make arrangements for you to go for a hair follicle test? Your answer was no. Good.
This is the judgment of the court. The judgment of the court is as follows. I am awarding the plaintiff $585 to fix his car. I am awarding the defendant $585 for the assault. That's a wash. Get out of here.
All these are excuses. Step out. You have my pictures and stuff? You'll get them.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
She's been coming home with injuries, saying words that 1.5-year-olds should not be saying, all sorts of things.
It's just all garbage, pretty much.
I got one thing to say. You sell marijuana to little kids in the neighborhood, and I know that. And that's all I got to say.
Leave me alone. I'm glad that this happened.
Don't worry,
Just
I've
leave
left
me
you
alone.
alone for a long
I don't
time,
love you
girl.
anymore. Don't want you.
Judge, you may be seated.
Mr. Schnabel, this lawsuit really has its genesis in a problem with your daughter. Is that right?
That's correct.
From what I gather from these papers, and I try to sift through them because they were kind of difficult to follow, your daughter was in a relationship with a defendant.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Something happened, which you're going to tell me about, and you claim that he damaged your car.
That's correct.
Why don't you tell me how that came about, sir?
Your Honor, it was the evening of June 27th of this year, and I was at home. I lived about 35 miles from the residence that my daughter shared with Steve. It was about 9:30 in the evening. I received a phone call from my daughter saying, "Dad, come get me. I'm at Steve's." And she hung up.
Had she ever done that before, sir?
She had,
How many times?
once,
How long had she been with him?
8 months probably. That's a guesstimate.
And how old is she?
32.
Go ahead.
I called back and immediately, and Steve answered the phone, said that she had been drinking, that she was intoxicated, that he had thrown her out of the house, that she had left in her car, and I said, "I'll be right there." I arrived, asked him, "Where is she?" "I don't know, don't care," in effect. Immediately across the street from the duplex that they shared is a large primitive area, probably 80, 100 acres of Douglas fir, undergrowth, nettles, blackberries, a very steep ravine. And at that point, we're standing in the front yard, and I heard her call out, "Help me." And it came from the vicinity, or in this primitive area. I took off toward the area, and a neighbor came out because I was calling her name, and by now it's 11 o'clock, 11:15, somewhere in that vicinity. And I was not getting an answer back. I just could hear, "Help me." And they came out, loaned me a flashlight. I tried to get down, but it was just too steep. I went back to the house and engaged Steve in a discussion. We got in an argument, and
Well,
I asked him.
tell me about that.
Well, I asked him, I said, "Why didn't you keep her here? If she was intoxicated, why didn't you keep her here?" And he says, "Well, I couldn't control her, and I threw her out. She got in her car, she went down, missed the corner, ran into a neighbor's yard, blew a tire, took out a bunch of their cyclone fence, backed the car out, managed to get it back into the driveway, and then he threw her out again." And with that, obviously, she took off. I said, "You know, you're part of the problem." And with that, he said, "Go find your effing psycho daughter and get the F out of here." And I realized that he didn't care anything for my daughter. And I hit him in the stomach and tried to hit him in the jaw and missed, and he jumped back, and we stood there looking at one another, and finally I said, "This isn't finding her. I'm leaving." I bent down, picked up my cell phone that had fallen on the ground, walked over to my car, around on the passenger side, opened the door, and in a rage, he came running over to the side of the passenger side of the car, took the heel of his hand, smashed it into the windshield. I said, now that's going to cost you. Got into the car, turned the key, and of course the power antenna came up. Well, he's standing right there, so he grabs that, he bends that over. He grabbed the windshield wiper and he spun that around. And I backed out and left.
Does your daughter have a drinking problem?
She does.
For how long?
To my knowledge, about, probably 5, 6 years, as it turns out. It's been fairly
Before
well
she
hidden.
met Steve?
Yes.
All right, well, there are a lot of questions that I have for you, but I'm going to let Mr. Timmon tell me his version of what happened that night. Go ahead, sir.
Well, his daughter has a problem drinking, and we've gone through it for a long time and tried on numerous occasions to get her help. I told her if there was another incident with the police that she was going to have to move out. And when it did happen, when she was released into Phil's custody.
You mean there had been an arrest before?
2 weeks before.
Is that right, Mr. Schnabel?
That's correct.
What happened in that incident?
Again, she was at my house drinking, and police got involved and arrested her for that. And that was the last straw.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You decided it wasn't your problem anymore. But you, just as a human being, you don't allow somebody who's intoxicated to go wandering off into the brush where she could have really been killed.
And later today,
You didn't give me the money until Friday.
Till Friday? You got the money way before then.
No, I didn't.
Now,
you know what? I kept a journal of everything.
Well, kept a journal
Miss
of
Landros,
you got the money.
Talk to the judge, please.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Phil Schnabel says his daughter's ex-boyfriend, Steve Timmons, damaged his car during a fistfight. Steve claims Phil's daughter is an alcoholic and caused the incident.
Okay. Tell me what happened with his car. After he assaulted you, where did he hit you?
In the chest and in the head.
That's pretty much what he says. What happened with his car?
I told him after he did that I was going to call the police, and he needed to leave my property. So we walked to his car. He was screaming and yelling. I was screaming and yelling. I hopped in his car, started it up, started revving the engine up, and just sitting there. As I approached his car and told him that he needed to leave and that I was going to call the police, he put it in gear. I pushed up against his car. I don't know why, but didn't know if he was coming after me or my car or what the deal was. He put it in gear.
So the bottom line is, on that evening, gentlemen, you both lost your tempers.
That's correct.
Mr. Schnabel, what I found interesting in your complaint, sir, is that you physically put your hands on the defendant first.
I did.
Out of anger.
I did.
And yet you're complaining that he, according to you, put his hands on your car out of anger, right?
After I'd indicated that I was leaving.
What difference does it make?
Okay.
I mean, you expect a certain amount of compassion as a result of your being very upset. You assaulted him because you were upset that he hadn't taken better care of your daughter, right?
That's correct.
He didn't sue you for assault.
There was some pushing prior to that, so. Well,
No, there
incidental
wasn't pushing.
That's correct.
You know, even according to your complaint, there wasn't incidental pushing. You lost your temper. While I'm sympathetic because you clearly have a situation in your family that's tragic, but Mr. Schnabel, I'm unsympathetic, sir, with your lawsuit against the defendant. Unsympathetic for whatever damage he caused to your car, because you expect him to understand your frustration, which resulted in you really assaulting him. I mean, you told me in your papers. You punched him in the stomach, you said you hit him in the head, and yet even if he got so angry because he was assaulted that he smashed the windshield of your car, which was in movement, clearly.
No, Your Honor, I'm sorry.
It was just sitting there? You were sitting in the car?
I wasn't even in the car yet when he smashed the windshield.
You mean you assaulted him and then he went and hit your car?
That's correct. I was
Instead of hitting you, he hit your car.
It wasn't because he didn't try, Your Honor.
But you hit him first,
That's
Mr.
correct.
Schnabel.
I did.
All I can tell you, sir, is this. Anger is a much easier emotion for people to live with than sorrow or frustration. It's much easier to be angry with somebody else than it is to internalize within your own family situation. He didn't create the situation with your daughter. According to you, it's been going on for a long time, even before she met him. So it's not his fault. I mean, if it were his fault, they would have been together for years and he would have been an enabler with her. But I don't get that sense. I get the sense you've been having difficulty with her for a long time. He got frustrated, finally. Mr. Timmon, what you did wasn't the right thing. You understand that, sir?
I do.
There are certain things that you can do to be protective just as a human being. I understand that you were frustrated. I understand that she had a problem. You had a short-term relationship. You decided it wasn't your problem anymore, right? And you wanted clear of it. But you, just as a human being, you don't allow somebody who's intoxicated to go wandering off into the brush where she could have really been killed. You would have felt terrible. It's a very unfortunate situation. But Mr. Schnabel, the defendant understood that. I have no countersuit here for assault. He certainly didn't press charges against you for assault, which he could have. The damage to your car was $400. That's what the punch is going to cost you, sir. This case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Back to your right, please.
And now the next case.
Parties on Landeros versus James. Step forward, please.
24-year-old Marlo Landeros says her former friend, 23-year-old Latasha James, owes her $240 for a cell phone bill.
Miss Landeros, you claim that the defendant owes you $240 for a cell phone bill.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me how that came about.
Okay, Latasha James, she's a former friend of mine in which I met at our previous employment about 5 months ago. And sometime in August, she purchased a cellular phone, which she was only able to activate by prepaying for her minutes. And then in a conversation she had one time, she said that the sales rep at the phone company had told her that if she knew somebody with the phone, that she could get it connected, so it would be cheaper for her. We took it.
She had the phone. She had bought the phone.
Yes, she purchased the phone. She gave me her phone to take to my phone company and to activate it under our account so she wouldn't have to prepay for her minutes. In other words, when the bill came in, I would tell her how much it was. It would be cheaper for her. And that's why I was doing this favor for her. And when I did it, I let her know. I said, well, I'm on a one-year contract. I said, they're probably going to put you on a contract also. She gave me $55 just in case of, if they did require anything.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
The reason that you asked her to co-sign for you is that you wouldn't have to prepay.
Correct.
Of course I'm correct.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Marlo Landeros is suing Latasha James because she didn't pay for a $240 cell phone bill. Latasha claims she owes much less.
Okay, so you went.
Yes.
And you activated her phone.
That's correct.
And how much did it cost you?
I was required to put down a $50 fee for activation fee.
And she had given you $55.
Yes,
so you
I
had
returned the $5 to her.
She returned the $5?
Yes, she did. Okay. When I went to return the phone to her house that night, I went in and it was a pink paper. And I said, here's your phone number. I said, it's, you know, I said, you
So she had a phone number and she had her phone?
Yes, and it was working.
Okay, correct?
Correct.
Good.
The next time I called her was when the first bill was due, and I called where we used to work. She wasn't there. It was a Friday, and I called her on a Friday because we used to get paid every Friday.
So you called her and you said, bill due?
Yes. Okay.
How much was the bill, her bill?
$42. Okay.
Did she give you the $42?
Yes, she did. She paid me after the due date. Yes.
Okay. So far you're beginning to learn your lesson.
Yes.
When was the next bill that came in?
Okay, the next bill came in 2 weeks later because the bill arrived early. So I wanted to notify her early because that bill came to $192.27. Did
she pay you the $192.27?
No, she has not paid me the $192.27.
Where do we get to $240?
$240 is the one-year contract that I made, and I did tell her of. And I cut off her phone.
You cut off the phone,
so
but
it's for the remaining 10 months. It's
how much a month?
$24 a month.
Well, it's $24 a month, but what about the $192.27?
She hasn't paid me that. She has promised to pay me, but she has not paid me.
How much do you owe the phone company right now on her behalf?
$614.20.
Did you say that you were planning to pay the bills?
Okay, Your Honor, to clarify the whole bill situation. When I got the phone with her, I did give her $55. She did connect my phone for me. She brought my phone to me. She brought me my $5, okay? 2 weeks later, she calls me. I go, how much is the bill? She told me how much it was. When I got the money a couple of days later, she called.
What do you mean when you got the money?
I had to get the money together because I got the message kind of late and I had to pay child care. So I got the money from a family member. 2 weeks later, she calls me again. She goes, the phone bill came in, you owe me $192. And I'm like, okay. I go, I want to see this bill. She goes, okay, you can see the bill. So I'm thinking she's going to bring me the bill the next couple of days, drop it off to me.
Why didn't you go pick it up?
I don't know where she lives at.
Why does she have to come to you to show you your bill for your phone?
Well, I could have got it, but the time I get off work, it's really late at night time. I get off at around almost 9 o'clock at night. So? Well, I could have did that.
You didn't, so you owe her this $192.27.
And I don't have a discrepancy with the whole owing her the $192. The discrepancy is the $240. I never received a contract. I never seen a contract. My contract was not a year. Mine was as I paid, I prepaid it. That's how mine was.
You weren't prepaying, madam. The reason that you asked her to co-sign for you is that you wouldn't have to prepay.
Correct.
Of course I'm correct. Right now, it seems to me that you asked this lady, who was really a stranger, to do you a favor, to put your phone on her bill.
Correct.
And if you think that I'm going to allow her to be out one dime.
I'm not saying that she's allowed to be out one dime. I owe her $192.
No, she's going to be billed on her phone for a year's contract for you.
A year's contract that I did not tell her to cancel. She brought me the bill the day it was due. If she would have brought me my bill before then, not the day it was due, and then called me the next day and asked me for money, and my phone is disconnected, I'm only going to pay what I owe. And all I owe her is $192, not $240. I did not tell her to cancel the service.
Miss James, she canceled the service because she was having a lot of aggravation with you.
She didn't have any aggravation with me. She called me on the phone.
I could see that she was having a lot of aggravation because first you tell her the first bill that's a small bill, you tell her
there was never a bill. I asked her for the bills before then. I never seen any bills.
The first time she called and told you what your bill was for $42, you gave her a story that you didn't have the money right away. You just told that to me. You said you had to get it because you had some child care expenses.
Correct, but I was not told that she called.
Just a second. That is not her problem that you have child care expenses.
I never said it was her problem. That's why I made sure she got her money the very next day. That's not the discrepancy here.
No, you didn't give her the money the very next day. You didn't give her the $42 for the first bill the very next day. You know that, and I know that.
It was the next day. She didn't get it the same day when I talked to her.
You didn't give me the money until Friday.
Till Friday? You got the money way before then.
No, I didn't.
Now,
yes,
you know what? I kept a journal of everything.
Well, kept a journal
Miss Landros,
you got the money.
Talk to the judge, please.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Miss Landros.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't believe that this lady is going to pay you the $192.27. I don't believe she's going to pay you that because I see that she thinks that she's right. She thinks that you do her a favor, you connect total stranger's bill up to your phone, then you got to keep calling her for the money. Then she questions why it's so high. Then she questions if there's a contract. She was so interested she could have gone with you and worked out the arrangements herself with you right there. Instead, she gave you the phone and said, go ahead and do it.
I was working.
That's not her problem. Since when is she a partner in your misery? Since when is the stranger a partner in your problems? If you were so interested in making sure everything was going to be done just the way you wanted to, you should have said, I will go with you and take off time. Lunchtime?
Our schedules are different. I'm a photographer. She's an appointment coordinator. 2 different schedules. Lunch hours different.
You always have an excuse for doing the wrong thing.
No, I'm not making an excuse.
You got an excuse for everything.
There is no excuse.
Everything.
I owe her $192.
Well, I'm giving her a judgment for $600. That way she's going to pay for the phone bill that you owe her as well as the 10 months for the contract that she signed in good faith so that you would have a phone. That's all.
Thank you very
Funds
much.
are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I did not tell her to cancel the service. I owe her $192. I only owe her for what I used, not for her canceling a contract.
I
and I
canceled it
told
because
her
you avoided
I will
me.
go ahead and pay that.
Yeah, why is it that when we paid you and we put my husband's pager number, somebody called back right away?
That's not my problem.
Don't trust people and don't do them favors.
Your son, Dustin, for bills he ran up on her Sears credit card.
Order, all rise. All rise, please. Quiet in the courtroom. Judge, this is number 132 on the calendar in the matter of Trevino versus Reeder. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Miss Trevino. Mr. Reeder.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Reeder Sr. Step up here. Ms. Trevino, according to your complaint, you and Mr. Reeder Sr. were living together, correct?
No.
He wasn't living with you?
He stayed with me for a month.
Stayed with you. I paid the rent.
Just a second. He stayed with you for a month. This is his son.
Yes, ma'am.
He also stayed with you.
Yes, ma'am.
And while they were staying with you, you let Junior use your Sears credit card.
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
Well, we were good friends, and he was just starting a job, and there was stuff that he needed, like tool chests and stuff, and he promised to pay me back when he started working and started getting an income, and I trusted him. He's a nice kid. But now that Senior and I are no longer seeing each other, he doesn't want to pay me.
Why didn't you ask your father for money?
Because I like Sears tools.
'Cause what?
I like the tools that Sears put out.
So?
She had a Sears charge card.
Go ahead, sir. Maybe you can answer for him.
Actually, what happened, Your Honor, when we got together and we were there a lot longer than any 2 months.
Well, first it was a month. Now you say it was longer than 2 months.
It was a lot longer. The relationship went on for about 1.5 years. Mrs. Trevino's credit card was not being able to be used at the time, and I paid it up, brought it current. The Sears credit card, I paid up the Sears credit card where it could be used. I paid up her Visa credit card, which they never let her use it. Okay, at that time, my son could have asked me for the money, but I didn't even know they were going out and buying the tools. She took him to Sears and started on her own while we were still together. And as we were living together for quite some time, over a month, things went on between them. He could have gotten the money from me if he'd have asked me for it.
Well, that's what I want to know. Why didn't you ask your father to borrow the money for your tools rather than asking Miss Trevino?
Because she had a charge card for there.
But he had the money.
I never came up to ask him for that, Your Honor.
All right, so now you used the credit card. How much did you charge on her credit card?
About $1,100, Your Honor, or so.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much did you pay back?
$1108.45.
You have proof of that for me?
Your Honor, what I have is my check register.
And what does it say in it?
That I have made payments. I have 9 checks totaling the amount of $508.45.
Is that made directly to Sears?
Sears and Mrs. Trevino.
Let me see it. Do you deny that he gave you these checks, madam? He's got them in his book.
He gave me checks for the rent when he was living there.
Some of this, how much rent?
He was paying $200 a month.
There are charges here for $32.45, $38, $75, $63.
For what?
I don't know. It says to Sandra Trevino. Let me see your Sears bill, please. Was she charging you rent?
I paid her rent on my own will, and I never wrote her a check for rent. I just given her cash.
What do you mean you gave it of your own will, sir?
I was told I didn't have to pay rent, but I paid her anyway.
That's not true.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I was the one paying the rent at the time.
That's not true.
Out of my own money. That's why he didn't have to pay rent.
He said he was giving her cash.
He did give her money, but like I said, it was because he wanted to.
So you say, sir, that you repaid her $508 by check, and this is for the tools that you bought on the Sears card. Is that right?
Yes.
But you also say you paid her cash.
Yes.
Twice.
Yes.
How are you going to prove that to me?
What? Ma'am, I have no... we were friends at the time. I didn't think I needed a receipt for that.
Well, but you paid most of the money by check. Why would you pay $600 of it in cash?
Well, because I would go cash my check, and I'd just give her the cash instead of the check.
Why did you give her some checks? All of them were under $100. And then what you opted to give her in cash, you gave her in $200, $300 payments. That doesn't sound logical to me, sir.
Well, at the time, I had the cash on me. And the only reason why I didn't get a receipt was because I was living with her. She was seeing my father.
Did he ever give you cash?
No, ma'am.
He did not?
No, ma'am.
Okay, return this to him. Yes.
He did give her cash, Your Honor.
No,
And I've given her a lot of cash even since then.
No, I believe...
A couple of times I didn't ask for receipts. Then at the very last, she started writing me receipts. I didn't bring them with me, but she did write me some receipts.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
She stole her car out of a shopping center before Christmas, and I got blamed for the car.
This is getting fascinating.
And later today...
I did see a cat, and I saw them, running after the cat, and I did see a cat.
I'm not sure I believe that you saw a cat.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sandra Trevino says 26-year-old tow truck operator Dustin Reeder used her credit card and didn't repay her. Dustin says he paid her back in cash.
Miss Trevino, why are you suing him now?
Because they were going through some bad times, and he didn't have any money. He went to jail for a couple months. The kids were trying to run the business, and they weren't making ends meet. And I was actually helping them keep the business going while he would. And I
what
thought
kind
it
of
was
business?
Towing business.
Automobile towing?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you incarcerated for a period of time, sir?
Yes, I was.
For how long?
I was actually in jail for 45 days.
For what?
Because she had stole her car, and I got blamed for it.
You're a lying sack.
That's right. She stole her car out of a shopping center before Christmas, and I got blamed for the car, and I didn't involve her in it. I took the heat because my lawyer advised me to take the heat, so I took it.
Explain. No, this is getting fascinating. This is much.
Hey, it's the truth. You can check it out with the courts.
Well, you can't check it out with the courts. If you pled guilty, sir, and served 45 days, then you pled guilty to something. Explain to me, she stole a car.
That's right.
Out of a parking lot.
That's right.
How did you get involved with it?
Well, when I first met Mrs. Trevino,
He tried selling it to cop.
She didn't have a car. She had problems with her car. I gave her the money to go out and put a down payment on a new car. When we started squabbling, she couldn't make the payments. So then she decided, it was insured, she decided that she would take it and collect the insurance off of it, which she did.
You're a pathological liar.
What are you, just a second?
The car.
Pathological.
You didn't collect insurance?
Miss Trevino, go ahead.
The car.
So she reported the car stolen.
That's right.
Ah, it's coming together. She reported the car stolen, and then the plan was for her to go out and sell the car once she got the insurance money for it. Is that right? Am I right?
You're close.
Well, tell me where I'm off. Tell me where I'm off.
Anyway, as it turned out, I got caught with the car
How did you get caught with the car?
because somebody had did some work on it, brought it back,
You mean did some work on it to sort of
changed the VIN
change
numbers.
the VIN numbers?
Changed the VIN numbers. Brought it back. I got caught with it. Okay? And like I said, at that time, I never brought it up. I never one time said anything about it to the law or anything. I just went to jail for it.
Well, you knew that
And
it was you
believe me,
knew the
believe me, I
scenario,
wish I
so you
hadn't.
weren't blameless, sir, right?
I was partly to blame because I got caught with it.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I drive a tow truck.
Your father's tow truck?
Yes.
Did you graduate from high school?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. These tools that you bought from Sears, what did you need them for?
I like to work on cars.
Sounds to me, with the exception of this young man, these people all deserve each other. Well, I'm going to give you credit, sir, for the following. I believe that you gave her checks towards the Sears bill of $1,100 in the amount of $500, leaving a total of $600 left. Now, I want you to look in my eyes and tell me whether you gave her an additional $600 in cash.
Yes, ma'am, I did. In 2 installments.
Hmm?
I have given her $600 in cash for the tool bill.
For the tools.
Yes, on the
You gave
Sears
her
charge.
extra money for rent
Yes, I was paying her $200 a month for rent.
in addition to the tools. Is that right?
Yes, every month I stayed there, I gave her $200 a month.
Ms. Trevino, I believe him. This young man, I believe. I don't know if I believe either of you two people, but I believe him that he paid you. This lawsuit is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Pathological liars. They're known liars. That's all they do is lie.
And now the next case.
Parties on Brown versus Silberg. Step forward.
32-year-old retail manager Paul Brown is suing his building manager, Greg Silberg, 52, because his dog fell off the roof when a cat frightened it.
Mr. Silberg, are you the owner of this building in question?
No,
or are you
I'm
the
the owner of the management company.
Okay. And this is a 3-story building.
Correct.
You, sir, live in that building?
Yes.
And how long have you lived there?
I lived there approximately about 9 months.
And you have a dog?
Yes.
That dog?
I have 2 dogs.
But that's the dog in question?
Correct.
You were going into your building?
Actually, I was going to walk my dog on the, and I was going to visit a friend on the 3rd floor. And
In the building?
In the building.
And your dog did not have a leash on?
They both had leashes on them. I took them in the elevator, walked up to the 3rd floor. I went to knock on my friend's door on the 3rd floor, which is right around the corner from the sun deck. And I had both dogs in one hand, on my left hand. And they saw a cat. This is late at night, about 10:30 at night. They saw a cat. They got loose. As I was running up the stairs, the dogs already were up on the patio or the sun deck, and that one fell. He was down below, and that was it. I mean...
Just a second. Did you see the cat, sir?
Look
Look at me.
Yes.
Did you see a cat?
Yes, I did. I saw a cat.
Late at night.
That's how they darted out of my hand.
Late at night, you're ringing a bell.
Knocking on the door, correct.
Knocking at a door, right? Like this.
Correct.
Where was the cat?
The cat was to the left, going up to the sun deck.
I'm not sure I believe that you saw a cat. That's first. I do believe that your dog ran up to the sun deck. Fell off. Right?
Right.
And you're suing him for $5,000.
Correct.
Tell me why.
Well,
Because that's the dog. The dog is here.
Right. First of all, I have pictures before and after, what the sun deck looked like before and after, and as well as the medical bills, which ranged into approximately about $1,300, $1,400. And for my dog's a championship dog, and I was actually going to breed him. I have papers on him, and as well as I have the notice from the city of West Hollywood saying that that sun deck was not properly permitted, and if they had the proper railing on that sun deck, my dog would have never fell. And that's why I'm suing him for $5,000.
I'll see all of his pictures.
And this is the medical bill. And I also have a letter from the doctor stating the condition of the dog.
Who found the dog?
Phil found the dog. He was downstairs waiting for me.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Can I say something?
Do you feel as if you must, sir?
You've kind of said it all, to be honest.
Then why don't you just be quiet?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Paul Brown is suing building manager Greg Silberg because his dog fell off the roof. Mr. Silberg says the dog should have been on a leash.
Describe the dog when you found him.
Well, I was standing outside, and I heard the loud noise, him hitting the concrete. When I found him, he was unconscious, tongue hanging out of his mouth. He was bleeding from his mouth. I went and grabbed a towel, picked him up. He was stiff. I didn't even know if he was alive anymore. And then I found a pulse. I took him into the apartment, found a pulse, called the veterinarian hospital, and we drove him immediately to the hospital. He was unconscious for a couple days.
Mm-hmm. When you found the dog that night, and I want you to think very carefully, sir, did the dog have a leash?
Yes.
How do you know that?
Because I found the dog.
A couple of things. I don't understand how this dog got away from you if you were holding both dogs in your hand with the leash.
I had them both on one hand as I was knocking on the door of the third floor. And I did see a cat, and I saw them, you know, running after the cat, and I did see a cat. And he went off, the other dog, because I called them both,
Well, just a second.
their names.
So what you're telling me is you had both dogs
In my left hand, correct.
in one hand.
Right.
And you couldn't control holding on to the leashes of both dogs.
No, because actually when they saw the cat...
Well, the cat's
okay,
not his fault.
Okay, but the balcony's his fault.
Just a second. How?
He broke the law. The law, I mean, that balcony was not properly permitted. If that balcony was properly permitted, that dog would have never fell.
This is not a place that you didn't know about. You knew about this place. Now, I'm not saying he's not in some way responsible for not having it properly gated off. I looked at the gate that he put up there. Your dog can get through that gate.
Yeah, but if
Just a second. If that's a proper gate that he put up afterwards, that little skinny dog can get through that gate and could have gotten through that gate that night. So could a cat.
Not running that fast.
What do you mean not running?
Not running. A dog cannot get through that gate. Those bars are approximately 4 inches apart. Now, if a dog's running at full speed, the dog cannot go through that gate.
You mean he'd have to stop and wiggle through?
He would have to stop.
Just
and
a second.
He would realize that no.
He would realize. The dog would realize.
He would realize that he would not be able to get through that gate going that fast. That's why the dog fell, because he was going so fast he didn't see the drop. That's why the dog fell. Now, if that gate was up there, the dog would have stopped.
This gate, sir, is not designed to keep out dogs and cats. It's designed to protect people. Dog and cat owners are responsible for taking care of their own pets.
Correct.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Just because there is an accident doesn't mean somebody has to pay you. That's not what the courts are about, sir. This is a people protector. And the fact that you suggest that a dog at full run couldn't go through there, that may be. Certainly, a cat can wiggle through here. Certainly, a small dog can get through here. The design
but not
of it...
at full speed.
I don't care whether it's full speed
If it's chasing, if the dog's chasing a cat...
You're never going to get through to him. Never going to get through to him, sir. Not every injury results in an award of money. You are responsible for keeping control of your dog.
And he's responsible for keeping the railing. I mean,
yes, sir, and I will tell you something else. If somebody chased you up on the roof that evening and you fell off the third floor because there was no adequate railing, you could sue him for a lot more than $5,000 because he is responsible, if you lived and if you could breed, because that's what you're complaining about. But because there was no bar or gate there, that's not the reason your dog fell. Your dog fell because you dropped the leash. And your dog
but I didn't drop the leash, Your Honor. The dogs got away from me. I didn't drop the leash.
Mr. Brown, sir.
Can I say something?
Do you feel as if you must, sir?
You've kind of said it all, to be honest.
Then why don't you just be quiet?
Okay.
This lawsuit is dismissed.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Well, obviously I'm delighted, and I just feel that Mr. Brown didn't take responsibility for his own action. First of all, the dog was there illegally. Wasn't
No, it
allowed
was not
on his
illegally.
lease.
You don't even know what your own manager does there. Your manager knew the dogs are there. You're saying illegally
on top
now
of that,
after 9, I've been there 9 months.
He
if
doesn't want to
there
take
illegally after 9
responsibility.
months,
All he
then
wants to do is everybody's responsible. The dog fell on its head, so
do
it
you
can't
feel you're not
breathe.
responsible for not having a proper sun deck up there?
Absolutely.
You're not responsible?
No, sir.
He broke the law. He should pay for it.
Suing her old boyfriend, commercial producer Aaron Latham, 26, for a gym membership, credit cards, and damaging her car.
Order, all rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please, miss. Judge, this is case number 429 on the calendar in the matter of DeVargas versus Latham. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
I assume from your complaint that you had a 3.5-year sort of live-in relationship where you were together. Is that right?
About a year and a half, actually. We had a long-distance relationship for 10 months before that, and then lived together for almost about 2 years.
Okay. And now you are no longer together. You say he owes you money.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take these things one item at a time, because that's a more organized way of doing business. Damage to my car, $477.18.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that come about?
I can show you this.
No, tell me.
Okay. I guess I was out of town, and we had a driveway in which my car was parked at the top. I guess either he was on a job or I'm not sure exactly what.
I backed into her car.
And
you backed into a car?
Yeah, basically backed into the car and damaged the back end.
Okay. Did you have it fixed right away?
No.
Why?
Because I was trying to get the money from Aaron.
Well, how long did you live together afterwards, after this damage to the car?
Probably another 6 months, maybe.
Now, you can't tell me that during that 6-month period you were trying to get the money from him to fix it.
Yes.
No.
What do you mean, yes?
Yes, I had asked him to please pay for the damages. I was still able to drive my car, considering the damage was in the back.
Mm-hmm.
It's damage that, yes, is kind of expensive, but it's not something that...
It's cosmetic.
It's cosmetic, basically.
So how much after you broke up did you decide to fix the car?
I didn't fix the car. It's still dented.
Gym membership, $713.12. And this is for a gym membership that you shared and I paid off.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about it.
We had decided to get a gym membership at Bally's together. I had put it through my bank. So what happens is every month they would take the funds out of my bank account. Of course, when we broke up, the funds were still coming out of my bank account, and I ended up paying off $1,400, half of which is $713.12.
How long did you use the gym membership after you split up?
I went a few times myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I never used the membership, and just when we did it, it was a better deal for us both to do it. And
well, what was the difference? Do you know?
Oh.
Between a single membership and a double membership?
No.
Mm-mm. I don't know. It was something I used it once when we first got it.
Well, the question is, sir, did you obligate her to pay this gym membership because you intended to use it?
I didn't. It was something she wanted to do. You know, she wanted the membership, and
so you just went along for the ride?
Well, I thought there was much, you know, as far as the cost of it, I thought it was something we would both cover over.
So did you pay for any of it?
Oh yeah.
How much did you pay?
I never kept exact track, but probably, you know, over the period of a year, probably $200–300.
And how did you make those payments to her?
Just gave her money here and there.
For the gym?
Well, I gave her money for mini bills at.
For the gym?
No, not specifically for the gym. Not that I can say. All the payments I had given her were larger sums that were.
For what?
For, you know, utility bills and gym payments and things like that. So,
all in one payment, every month.
Well, let me see checks for these large sums of money. You return checks for large sums of money.
I'm basically just pinpointing these items as what I'm suing for. Those canceled checks have nothing to do with these items.
What do they have to do with?
They have to do with other items that...
I disagree with that. Those canceled checks go to a list here that Vanessa had faxed me that I can show the judge also. And those canceled checks correspond with those payments on that and with this, actually. I'd gone down that list and marked off what I felt were fair and reasonable things that she should be paid back for. And on the second sheet...
Well, how much, sir, do you think is fair and reasonable for her to be paid back?
Yeah. Well, on the...
No, is it not a number?
Sorry.
Give me a number.
About $2,800.
And how much have you paid her?
$2,800.
You've paid her $2,800.
Yes.
Does that cover the gym?
Specifically, no, it doesn't cover the gym specifically.
All right. Does that cover the damage to her car?
No, because I've never gotten a total on that.
Can I see the estimate for the damage on your car, please?
Okay.
Just give me the estimate, not a tone. You have a deductible on your insurance?
Yes.
What's your deductible?
I think it's $500.
What do you mean you think?
I'm not sure.
Well, how can I do this if I don't know what your deductible is?
I'm pretty sure it's $500, but I'm not sure.
I still don't understand why it took you so long to even think about fixing the car. Let me see the dent to the back of the car.
It's on the back of that picture. It was something that could have waited. It wasn't something that...
It sure can. It's just like a little kiss.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I had called him, I had paged him. He wouldn't return my pages.
That always happens when somebody owes you money.
Yes.
Especially when the luster of love has worn off.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And later today,
Kids do that when they're in elementary school. They go around and tear each other's posters off.
understand that.
You understand that? You're supposed to be more adult as you get older.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. After Vanessa DeVargas and Aaron Latham broke up, she says he refused to pay his share of bills and damaged her car.
All right, let's go to the next thing then. Next thing is a credit card that I started for him in my name, $455.09. What's this credit card, sir? Do you know?
Yeah, and I have also paid her back for that.
You have?
Yeah, in that $2,800.
Well, did you use that credit card at all?
No.
Do you have the last statement from the credit card?
Yes.
Can I see it, please?
I made several payments. I didn't make one lump sum. But that was the last payment in which I paid off the credit card.
This says that there was a previous balance of $37. How am I supposed to tell whose expenses these are?
In the checks there and in the breakdown of what she says I owed her versus what I've paid her, it kind of shows that I know it's kind of complicated, but...
It is very complicated. I wish you young people who decide to set up housekeeping didn't exchange credit cards. They're really very stupid.
I agree.
Never do it again.
Yeah. That's what everybody says. You don't have checks here, sir.
I'm sorry?
You showed me these bills, sir, these checks that you say should total $2,800. They don't even total $1,000.
I don't believe I have all $2,800 worth of checks here because I didn't start to get my checks sent back to me until after this started. I just have to go by what she deducted off the balance, and it shows payments. She dated them on her.
How much did you receive from him in total?
I don't know.
Listen, I can't figure this whole thing out. Nobody can figure this whole thing out. Probably even not an accountant can figure this whole thing out. One thing I do know for sure is that you owe her half of the gym membership. Now, the entire membership was $1,400 and change, so you owe her $700 for the gym membership. That I know for sure. Madam, I'm allowing you $300 for the repair of your car.
Okay, thank you.
Fix this little
Can I also
ting
add
in the back of the car. And I'm giving you $700 for the gym payment because I think that you obligated yourself to pay for this gym. The fact that he didn't use it, that's his problem. He was there, he thought it was a good deal, he's got to pay for part of it, and he can't establish to my satisfaction that he's ever paid any part of that. You wanted to say something else?
I wanted to add that I had tried to, after I had broken up with Aaron and had moved out, I had tried numerous times to make arrangements to meet with him. I had called him, I had paged him. He wouldn't return my pages. One time, I had to pretend that I was somebody else so that he would call me back, and he did. So this is why this has gone on for so long, because I have never been able to reach him or find him or get him to call me back. And because of this...
That always happens when somebody owes you
yeah,
money.
Yes.
Especially when the luster of love has worn off.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I sort of
So,
like that word,
I like
luster
that.
of love.
I'll write that down.
So,
so that is why this has been drawn out for so long, and I
Mr.
took it
Vargas,
to court.
put a period. Move on with it.
Okay.
I'm giving her a judgment for $1,000. Fix the dinghy on your car, help you pay for the gym membership that you probably paid off. Do me a favor, you get another boyfriend? Keep your credit cards under lock and key.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Oh, that's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Get your paperwork.
Thank you.
We are. Okay.
And now the next case.
Parties on Buffa versus Paz Martinez. Step forward, please.
40-year-old student Charles Buffer says fellow student Karen Paz, 25, tore down his campaign posters at Los Angeles City College and ruined his chances of becoming student vice president.
Which one of you is Miss Martinez?
I am.
Mr. Buffer, you were running for the office of vice president, according to your papers, of a school organization, and Miss Martinez was your adversary.
Yes, Your Honor.
Was this college?
Yes, Your Honor.
Which school?
LACC, LA City College. Yes, Your Honor.
And according to your complaint, Miss Martinez and/or Miss Paz took down 6 of your posters.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you are suing them for $72, which is the cost of the posters, and you also lost the election.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. How do you know that they took down the posters?
Okay, Your Honor, first of all, number one is that I found the poster, let me bring this up to you. I found the poster in the location of where this lady was. Number two is they admitted it to me the next day.
All right, tell me about the admission.
And I, with the election chair commission lady who's here with me today, will testify that they admitted that she tore down the posters.
Who tore down the posters?
Miss Karen Paz over here.
Did you tear down the posters?
No, not all.
Not all?
No.
Did you take down some?
2.
Order.
You took down some?
2, yeah.
Why?
That was my mistake.
Your Honor?
Yeah.
Also, too, I'd like to bring up, too, that she also signed an affidavit saying she did do this, okay?
Well, let me see the affidavit.
Okay. I'd have to come up to you or have him bring it to you. You see, Your Honor, it isn't about money here. It's about principle. You destroyed something to me in hopes of not getting me elected to try to hamper me from getting elected is what this girl did.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I plan on pursuing something honest where you don't have to use deceit and trickery to win an election. By tearing up stuff, that is not right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 40-year-old student Charles Buffer says fellow student Karen Paz, 25, tore down his campaign posters at Los Angeles City College and ruined his chances of becoming student vice president.
Well, why are you suing Miss Martinez?
Because Miss Martinez was the one that I was running against, Your Honor.
But why are you suing her?
And because when we went in that day, and confronted her with the election committee lady.
Confronted whom?
Well, we confronted Miss Paz in the office, okay? She admitted that, well, she said, well, she told me to do it, and then you yelled at me and said, well, they weren't stamped. So that gave you the authority and the orders to give her to tear up my posters because you wanted so bad to get elected, Your Honor. That's what happened. And that day, she admitted it to me and to the other lady sitting here on her orders, that's why that was done.
Who admitted it? Miss Martinez?
Miss Paz.
I'm not talking about Miss Paz. Miss Paz has already
okay.
admitted she took down a couple of posters.
And then when I said...
I'm talking about Miss Martinez.
Yeah, yes,
She's
ma'am.
guilty.
Yes, Your Honor. Then when I said to Miss Martinez, I said, well, why did you tell her to do that? Well, Mr. Buffett, your posters aren't stamped. I don't blankly give a damn.
Miss Martinez, did you say to Mr. Buffett your posters aren't stamped?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Put that down,
Okay.
sir. I don't need visual aids. Pass visual aids. Stop getting so excited, sir. This is not an election for state senator or president of the United States. I know that you're emotional.
Well, you know, it's the principle.
I know it's principle. I know. Kids do that when they're in elementary school. They go around and tear each other's posters off.
That.
You understand that? You're supposed to be more adult as you get older.
That's correct.
Miss Martinez.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever tell Miss Paz to take down his posters because they weren't stamped?
No, Your Honor. There's no reason why I should do it.
Okay. Do you have information with regard to that?
Yes, I do,
Step
Your
up
Honor.
here and tell me who you are.
My name is Felice Dooley, and I was chairperson of the election.
Did you ever speak to Miss Martinez with regard to these posters?
Yes, I did. I spoke with Miss Martinez, and Miss Paz confronted them. I asked Miss Paz if she took down the posters, and she admitted she took down the posters. And after words of exchange, explicitives that she shouted at me or what have you, she was extremely belligerent.
You're not following me. I asked you a direct question. My direct question to you was, what information do you have that Miss Martinez had a conspiracy with Miss Paz to take down these posters? She's guilty. I tell you what, to make it easier, you sit down.
Miss Martinez told me that she was aware that Karen Paz took down the posters.
Being aware doesn't make her guilty in the eyes of the law.
No, she did not tell me that she directed Miss Paz
to take them down. Do you have any, Mr. Buffer?
Yes.
How old are you, by the way, sir?
Too old.
No, I'm too old. How old are you?
40.
Okay.
I'd say I tell you I was 21, but I know you won't believe it.
I certainly wouldn't. I tell people I'm 21 all the time. They don't believe me.
Your Honor, it's the thing of it is that what motive would this girl have to do it? She knew she was running against me. That's why she did it.
Mr. Buffer,
what motive do I have?
You're 40 years old, so you should have a certain amount of life's experience, including life's experience. You also have experience watching a lot of television, being inside of courts, right?
That's
Your
correct.
feelings are not particularly relevant. The fact that somebody had an opportunity or inclination doesn't necessarily make them guilty. You have to have proof that they're guilty before a court finds them guilty.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Do you have any proof against Miss Martinez that she either instructed or directed anyone else to remove your posters?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Well,
Your
let
Honor.
me hear it.
Okay. Well, the day we went in that day into that office, when I asked her, why did you tell her to take down the posters, her reply to me was, well, your posters weren't stamped, so I told her to take them down. She had every right to do so. That's what she said to me.
I did not tell him.
I don't believe that.
No,
Mr.
I
Buffer?
didn't.
That's what you did.
Mr. Buffer?
That's correct.
Listen to me.
I'm listening.
I don't believe she said that to you.
Well, she
I have
did.
no need to do it. Why would I do
No, I don't
something
believe
like
she
that?
said those words to you, sir.
That's exactly well. I say she did say that words to me.
Did she say to you, were they stamped?
No, she said your posters weren't stamped. I gave her the authority to take them down because they weren't stamped.
No, I did
and
not
that's
say
why
that.
I said they are stamped. Here they are.
I did not
No,
say that.
I don't believe that. But you are entitled to a judgment, sir. You are entitled to a judgment against the person who has been proven guilty in this court, and that is Miss Paz.
That is correct.
Well, it cost you, according to you, $72 for these posters. That's the amount of money that you're suing for. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm
going to give you a judgment for that, sir, in the amount of $72 against Miss Paz.
Well, I really appreciate that, Your Honor.
That's what you have. Thank
but
you.
You
I'm
know
glad
what?
you
It's
appreciate
principle. That's what it is, not the money. It's principle.
What is my principle?
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Thank you.
And on the next Judge Judy.
and I plan on pursuing something honest where you don't have to use deceit and trickery to win an election. By tearing up stuff, that is not right.
She is a friend.
Oh, a friend. I love that. A friend. I love that, you guys. That's so cool. She's a friend, so help her tear the posters down to get her election. You got to be honest. You're not going to win an election being dishonest. You're going to get caught sooner or later. And it came down on her. And that's it. She lost. And I feel good about it. I'm happy today in court. I couldn't be better.
Lease was up. Erica says Jill turned the salon into a shopfront church for gangsters.
Order, all rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Your Honor, this is number 103 on the calendar in the matter of Villa versus Casares. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Villa, you have a beauty salon, and according to your complaint, you rent space in that beauty salon to independent contractors.
Right.
Such as the defendant, who is a nail specialist.
That's nice.
You rented her space in your salon at the rate of $200 a month, is that right?
Right.
You say that and it was a 3-year lease.
It was a 1-year lease.
It was a 1-year lease.
Mm-hmm.
1-year lease. You say that she left after a relatively short period of time. She owes you somewhere over $2,000 for rent.
Right.
You say she left. She says that she was asked to leave. So, tell me first about this establishment and how it works.
Okay. I have a salon. I do hair. I have 4 stations. I have pictures of those. And I have 1 space for nails.
And what's the financial arrangement that you have?
Basically, they just rent that space from me, and they take care of their insurance, their taxes, everything to run a business.
Okay, how did you find each other?
I went into a beauty supply store. I saw her nails. She does great nails. And I was looking for a nail technician at the time, and I asked her if she would be interested in booth renting a space for me. And she came in and signed a lease and rented for 1 year. And then in December before her year lease was up, in December of '96, I asked her if she would want to sign another lease.
For another year?
Right.
Oh, I see. Okay, when did she leave?
She left in May 14th. So she stayed her whole year. Now, her new lease would have started May through May of '98, and that's the signed one that she has.
Well, tell me your version of what the events were surrounding her leaving and breaking the second
Actually, Your Honor,
year's
they
lease.
were very confusing. I had a staff meeting where I had 2 hair stations available, and I hired 2 hairdressers. So I had a staff meeting with 1 hairstylist and Erica, letting them know that there would be 2 hairstylists starting at Making Waves.
Making Waves is the name of your shop.
Right. Her reaction was very rude. She was obnoxious.
Well,
and
that's your interpretation of her actions. What did she say? What did she do?
She said, "I will not work with white women. I'm prejudiced, and I do not like change." And I have a witness to that who heard that. I have 2.
And so what did you say to her?
I said, you haven't even worked with them 1 day. How can you say you're prejudiced against these girls? I just don't like them.
Okay, first of all, when I signed a contract going into a salon, not a church. And that's exactly what the salon turned into.
Explain that to me.
Well, she got religious, which is fine, that's her business. And she had the pastor there all the time.
Who's the pastor?
Right over there.
What were they doing?
Running their church out of the salon.
What does that mean,
not
running
true.
their church out? Shh.
That's not true.
What does that mean, running their church out of the salon?
They had their own phone line in there. The pastor was always there. The men's home, which is these men that they're trying to, from prison, that they're trying to turn over, I don't know, to make them better men, I guess. We're always there. Okay, these are men that have been in prison for really bad crimes.
So they were coming into the salon.
Right. So when I have a client sitting there, they're seeing this man there with all these tattoos on his neck, all these men. They don't want to be there. They're uncomfortable. My clients came in to get their nails done, not to be preached to. And what they did is preach God to my clients. My clients did not want to hear about God.
While they were having their nails done?
Yes, they have.
Step up here, sir.
And Jennifer's witness to that.
Get to you in a minute. Tell me your name.
Robert Dominguez.
Mr. Dominguez, when did you become involved with this salon?
When Jill and her husband first started coming to our church, and
when was that?
That was in '96. Jill had offered me a corner there to have a phone there so that I can do business and make contact with people for the crusade that we were organizing.
Tell me about the crusade.
What a crusade is there is we reach out to the gang members, the drug addicts, those that are considered outcasts of society. And during that time, since we were just beginning there in that city, and finances at the time were very, very short, so Jill had offered me a corner. She offered me to that I could put a phone there. And from that point on, one thing I need to make clear is I don't force the gospel on anybody. People ask me, and I in turn respond.
Sir, I am correct, therefore, that when you say you reach out to gang members, you reach out to drug addicts, and you reach out to former prison inmates, you reach out to them and ask them to come in so that you can counsel them. Is that correct?
Witness to them.
Witness to them, counsel them, whatever. And you were doing this witnessing or counseling in this salon.
No, it wasn't. No, not in the salon.
Are you telling me, sir, that you never had any of these people who you were trying to reach come into the salon?
No.
They never did?
No. The men's home were there during the crusade. I wasn't counseling them. I wasn't witnessing to them. They were part of the workforce of helping me organize this crusade.
Mr. Dominguez, maybe we're not understanding each other, sir. Did the people that you were involved with, either people who were reformed and then reaching out, or the people that you were reaching out to, ever come into the salon?
Yes, they did.
That's right. And they came in, you spoke to them, they spoke to each other,
we had conversation.
Did you ever speak to any of the defendant's clients while they were having their nails done or while they were waiting to have their nails done?
When I was asked. When
What
I
do you
was asked either by Erica, or I was either introduced to them, or they would ask me questions once they
That's a
found-
lot of oars. Step up. Who are you?
Jennifer Lopez.
Jennifer, how were you involved in this operation?
I also worked at the salon and was asked to leave.
Why?
Because I was an evil spirit.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You changed the establishment from a beauty salon, hair and nails, to a beauty salon, hair, nails, and redemption.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Manicurist Erica Casares says she quit her lease at Jill Villa's beauty salon because Jill turned the place into a church for outcasts.
You were an evil spirit? Who told you that?
Erica.
That's what they stated.
That's not true, Your
Jill
Honor.
stated that to me.
That is not true,
Yes, it
Your
is
Honor.
true.
Just a second.
Can I say why she was dismissed?
Were you a hairstylist?
Mm-hmm.
She was dismissed because she came into my shop intoxicated with
No.
a male gentleman with her. She was stealing from Erica because Erica kept saying how she's stealing all my nails.
No.
She's stealing all my nails. She was stealing my
stuff is
nail
locked up.
accessories.
Just a second. I really want to find out. Now I know you were a hairstylist. You were either
spirit. Give me a
dismissed or you
break.
left, whatever it is.
Give me a break.
I want you to tell me about
That's a good
this
one, Erica.
group that was running inside the salon in addition to hair and nails.
Okay, she moved the pastor in a desk, so we all had to move stations because there wasn't enough room. It's a very small salon. And then we would talk about God. They play Christian tapes all day, and I think it's great, but you know it shouldn't have been mixed in with our business.
When you say playing Christian tapes all day, you mean over the whatever PA system you had?
Right.
instead
That's
of...
not true. I had a little radio by my station. Your Honor, both these ladies on their own came to our church. They were part of our church.
That's good.
Yeah,
No,
that's
that's
great.
good. That's,
I never...
That's fine, because that's where the church
I never
belong.
heard that there was a problem. I never heard that there was a problem in the salon. Never.
Ms. Casares, I've heard from Ms. Villa about what she recalls of the time that you told her that you were leaving. I'd like you to tell me about the day.
She asked me to leave.
Well, tell me about it.
I just told her I was no longer happy there. You can't tell Jill nothing about the church.
So you told her you were not happy?
Right.
And what, and?
To go back, before I signed the contract, she stated in front of me, Jennifer, and Mary Alice, anytime we were not happy, we were allowed to leave. She was holding nobody to their contract. She had done that before, and she didn't want nobody else to be there that were not happy.
Okay,
So we had a verbal agreement that when we were not happy, we can let her know and we can leave.
Well, let me tell you what the law is. The law is when you sign a contract, and it's a contract for property, you can't go outside that contract for an interpretation. So whatever you sign is what you're bound to. Do you understand?
Yeah,
that's why we have contracts, and that's why we have laws surrounding contracts. You call what you're suggesting, we call parole evidence, which means evidence that goes outside the four corners of that document. And you can't do that. So I want you to be smart the next time. You don't sign an agreement with the understanding, well, we have a side agreement, which is if you're not happy, you can break this contract, because that doesn't make sense. If that's your agreement, then what do you need a contract for? Right? If your agreement is, if you're not happy, you can leave, then why would she ask you to sign a contract? You understand?
She needed it for books or something.
Baloney. Come on. Ms. Casares, but I'd like you to tell me about this phone conversation that you had. You told her you were leaving because you weren't happy.
Right.
And then she called you on the phone and said, tell me why you're not happy.
I just told her. I said, it's because of the church thing. I can't handle it being in there. I was losing clients. Without clients, I make no money. With no money, I cannot pay rent. That's just, and you can ask her, last month, I was so slow there. And it's because I was losing clients. I have statements here.
I can't read statements.
And then,
statements are not admissible.
Well, after that, she just asked me, when I told her about the church thing, she goes, when can you be out of here? So to me, that was throwing me out by asking me when I could be out of there. So I told her. I turned around, I looked at my husband, I go, when can we go get my stuff? He said, right now. I went and picked up my stuff. I was out of there. That's all the phone conversation was.
When you signed your contract in December, your renewal
I signed my contract in February, because my contract was up in February.
Okay, so you signed it in February. By the way, can I see it, please? Ms. Casares, listen to me very carefully. You signed this contract December 20th, 1996 is the date you signed it, not February.
Okay, February was my contract was up, my first one. Then never.
She said it was up in May.
No,
And
my
she
first
said-
one was up in February.
Just a
Mine
second.
was
No,
up-
no,
mine
no,
was
no.
up in May.
No.
Yours is
Ms.
up in
Casares,
April.
you got to get it straight. You signed this in December. Your first lease was not up until May. This is for a year after that. Now, what I want to know from you is, when for the first time did Mr. Dominguez come into the shop?
Maybe in February or March. February, I don't know. I don't know when he came in.
Did he come in before or after you signed this new lease?
After.
Is that correct, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
You came in after she signed this lease.
In March of '97.
Ms. Villa, let me tell you what your problem is, madam.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She ran into my shop and said, guess what? Brian down the street wants me, and he wants me bad.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
I'm not sure, nor will I ever be certain, of the reason that Ms. Casares left, whether you asked her to leave or whether she said, I'm leaving. She contracted for space in a beauty salon, not a beauty salon / mission. After she signed her lease, you changed the establishment from a beauty salon, hair and nails, to a beauty salon, hair, nails, and redemption. You can't do that.
Your Honor.
Listen to me. You changed the rules.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Can I state something, please? When I asked Robert to take some space for the Stop the Violence campaign, which was only going to last a period of 2 months, I sat down with each one of my stylists and we had a staff meeting, and I told them that he would be joining us, and if there was any problem to please let me know now. I didn't see any problem. If I would have seen a problem and heard that they had a problem with it, Your Honor, I would have stopped it immediately.
Let me
They
ask you this
never
question,
once
Ms.
told
Villa.
me.
Did her business drop off?
Her business was skyrocketing. All the women in my church came to her to get their nails done.
They didn't pay me.
Yes, they did. I took it off your rent.
Miss Villa, why do you think she would leave a business where she was making money? I mean, maybe I'm
Because
missing
she
something.
got a better
if her
deal
business
down the
was
street.
skyrocketing, why would she leave your business?
Because she got a better deal down the street.
What kind of better deal?
The guy, she had come into my shop, okay? She ran into my shop and said, guess what? Brian down the street wants me, and he wants me bad. He said that he will drop my rent, there won't be any contract, and I can go and work for him. Before she left, she was giving out her calling cards with his name on it and number.
Hold it. Did you go to work down the street?
Yeah, it's about a mile away.
Here's his ad.
I needed a place to take my clients to.
And when you went to work down the street, you went to work under the same conditions that you paid for space?
Yes, and it's a salon.
And how much rent did you pay in the space?
The new space? He's charging me $150 now, but it goes up in 6 months to $170. After 6 months, it goes up some more.
So you save yourself at least $50 a month going to him.
Yeah, which I had no problem with finish out my contract with Jill. But once you cannot tell Jill about a church and then her be the same with you. It doesn't work that way.
Well, that's conjecture. You see, now you're coming to conjecture. I was missing something, you see, because you say you had no business. She said you had a lot of business.
No.
Well, Miss Casares, let me suggest this to you, madam. Common sense always plays a very important part in judging. A competitor down the road would not offer you a better deal than you were getting in her place unless you were prepared to bring into that establishment a substantial clientele.
Well, Your Honor.
So you bettered your situation by leaving her. You bettered your situation by leaving her by going to a place where you could have your clients and pay less rent.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
This is a difficult case, and I'm going to tell you why. It's difficult as far as the decision that I make, because, Ms. Villa, you changed the workspace that Ms. Casares contracted for by bringing in this gentleman who ran a different kind of a business within your salon operation. And I believe that that's unfair to do to somebody. And I, quite frankly, can understand why some people who are coming in to have their nails done in what they assume is going to be a predominantly female operation, you know, ladies sitting around having their nails done, etc., having this gentleman there, and a variety of other people who are either in the saving business or trying to be saved. That's disconcerting. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just saying it's not what she bargained for. On the other hand, I'm not really quite satisfied that his presence there was the only reason that you left. I would suggest that one of the reasons that you left was because you got a better deal down the road. Now, it may have been that you were unhappy with this situation there and you felt as if you would be more comfortable elsewhere. I think that you are responsible for part of the rental on that property. I think that if this gentleman being there is not a drawback, you should be able to rent that space in a relatively short period of time. I'm going to give you 5 months' worth of rent. Do you understand?
Yes.
You see to it that you re-rent the space. And if you can't re-rent the space, you better rethink your position about mixing your business with the church. You may want to keep them separately. You know,
They're no longer there.
They're no longer there? Well,
it
that's
was only
good.
for 2 months, which
That's good.
they knew.
All right, the judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
On the next.
This is Sunny, and he is a luxurious boy, and you can you can see. Oh, only English. Here is this video.
Brother, I am only use my life in English life. My
Okay.
life is very beautiful because my confidence is very low.
Okay,
You
okay.
are controlling me with camera.
Okay.
So
Spend, brother.
no, brother, my network is slow, though, so that you can have leave this, and I am cannot talk to you because my battery is very low.
What's your name, brother?
My name is Chutu.
And what's your father name?
My father name is Legend.
Legend. Oh yeah. Which country you belong?
I am from Balochistan because Balochistan is very beautiful.
Any place you can belong.
I am belong from a club. Club is very beautiful and in which we can have enjoy very
Okay,
beautiful
okay,
girls.
okay. What's your dream in life?
My dream is I fuck you.
I fuck you. Okay. Your dream is you want to fuck me.
Yes, brother.
Okay.
I fuck you.
This is a dream, only dream.
It
Not
is
a not a real life, brother.
भैया तो वीडियो बना रहे हैं मेरे ख्याल से दिखाएंगे सब लोग.
Yes. No. This video only in copyright course and is used in USA countries only. UK, USA, Australia country. Okay.
No problem. Yes. So I am a very rich person because my
Your
teacher
nose is very
is.
long.
Huh?
Your nose is very long.
My nose?
Yeah.
No, that is not long. Your camera is not perfect seen my nose.
This camera is very
That's
beautiful.
this shape is very rich person shape.
Okay. What's you want only this, brother?
What?
What's you want?
I smoking very badly, and I mm, re- because my GF is break my heart. So
You.
we can have
Break up.
Yes, break up. So we can have use, and that is Makoda. I fuck it gand khudi ke.
This video is uses in only USA country and
Brother, USA country where?
USA Los Angeles.
What? क्या बोलना चाह रहे हो भैया तुम?
Only English. You can use only English.
Bro, that's my English, but you cannot
Understand, eh?
understand.
Okay.
It is my personal English. It is English is not English only. Because I am use very many language in my tongue.
In the group, you cannot talk.
No, that is very chutu persons are online, so we can have
Now offlines.
No.
You are a very villa boy.
मैं दिखाऊँ अब? I am not villa, brother. I am very busy because my business is very long and it is broad. It is linked by USA.
You can share your link meme.
Ma'am,
To earn money.
My meme is very cute. So my meme is loved with me.
कि follow करने लगा? Subscribe
मैं सर्च बार से आंदा हुआ.
My meme is loved with me, brother.
साडा भी अंदर से तो थोड़े चूतिया पे मरे हुए हैं. सनी 4 मिनट ਦੀ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਸਿਰਫ 30 ਸੈਕਿੰਡ ਰਹਿ ਗਏ ਸਮਝੇਗਾ. नहीं ਉਹ ਅਸਲ ਚ ਨਾ ਕਾਪੀਰਾਈਟ ਕੋਰਸ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਆਖਰ ਚ ਲਾਈ ਦੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਵੀਡੀਓ.
ਕਿਉਂ?
ਲਾਜ਼ਮੀ ਹੈ
ਲਾਜ਼ਮੀ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਹੋਵੇ
ਆਖਰ 'ਚ ਆਪਣੀ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਲਾਣੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿਤੇ ਵੀ ਨਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਯੂਜ਼ ਹੋਈ ਹੋਵੇ ਪਹਿਲੇ
ਮੁਫਤੀ ਆ ਸਹੀ ਆ ਡੀਪੀਆਂ ਉਹ ਵਾਲੀ ਲਾਉਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਲਾਈ ਸੀ
ਦੇਖਿਆ
ਹਾਂ
ਦੇਖ ਰਿਹਾ ਹਾਂ ਕਰੀ ਅੱਛੀ ਆ